Welcome in. It's Monday, a brand new week here on Three Man Front. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. So much to get into. Masters, Nico, A-Days. We will cover it all over the next 4 hours. We're going to have the man that broke the story that absolutely put college football on absolute alert on Thursday night. Pete Nakos is going to join the show in about an hour from now. Trey Wallace in 30 minutes. Trey was there in Knoxville for the orange and white game. He has some very poignant questions towards Josh Heupel about the future of this program now that Nico has hit the road and left the program. We'll also obviously talk about the Masters, just a thrilling finish yesterday afternoon. I think when the ratings come out, it's going to be one of the higher rated Masters we've had in quite some time. Scott Hamilton from the Charleston Post-Courier, he's going to join us at 1 o'clock. He was there. It's been there for 14 consecutive years. So we will talk to him about what he witnessed as history was made as Rory McIlroy finally gets that green jacket. But Landrum, we start where we ended the show on Friday, which was the Nico saga, and it did not disappoint. You and I were rooting for complete chaos, and that's what we got.
Yeah. First of all, kudos to Tennessee for whoever decided that they were going to dig in and they were not going to flinch to whatever his party was proposing and redoing the deal. Maybe maybe it hurts Tennessee in the immediate future at the quarterback position, and there's going to be players that are available. But I think for just how things have gone and the insanity that is the NIL and transfer portal era of intercollegiate athletics, I think it was a small win for those who think that it's out of control and it's upside down and the market has been oversaturated, and some of these guys are getting paid not what is viewed as fair market value. So good for Tennessee. Unfortunately, I think that you're going to have a team that's probably desperate at that position, that's willing to pony up whatever you want to call a team is saying that he's worth.
And we will find out, obviously, Wednesdays when the transfer portal will officially open up, and we will see what happens. A reminder that inside the Southeastern Conference, if you go in the transfer portal in the spring period, you cannot transfer to an SEC school and be eligible for the fall. Now, you can go and sit out like the old days, but most of the time now people want to play immediately, so he can go to any other Power 4 school and play immediately.
Yeah, and you start thinking about, okay, so if someone is going to offer the $4 million that's being reported that he wants, who are those potential schools? Well, there's probably several out there, but who is willing to pay that right now to have a ready-made quarterback, if you want to call Nico that? And he is. He's a good quarterback. He's not worth $4 million, in my opinion, per season. USC, UCLA, those are obviously two that have been mentioned. But seeing Notre Dame, their name, North Carolina, potentially Texas Tech, we know that they're spending money. So where Nico lands will be fascinating to watch here in the coming weeks.
So just a reminder about the timeline of everything that took place. So then Thursday night, there was a story by Pete Nakos, who will be on the show at 11 o'clock. He'll kind of walk us through how everything took place, in which he reported that there were negotiations going on. Well, Nico's dad immediately went on Twitter and called Pete Nakos a bitch, and basically said that these things were lies, that this is not true. A lot more crap going on off the field than really on the field. So that was Nico's dad's reaction. Okay, so then Friday morning, we're doing the show from Twin Peaks, and then we get word that he didn't show up to practice. And then all of a sudden, that's when all heck really broke loose in Knoxville. And then on late Friday night, Nico notified his offensive coordinator that he completed his paperwork, that he was going in the transfer portal. And then again, no show on practice on Friday. Now, on the Vol pregame show of their orange and white game, Josh Heupel did not go as far as he did in the postgame show. This is what he told the media right after the orange and white game about Nico.
Today's landscape of college football is different than what it has been. It's unfortunate, just the situation and where we're at with Nico. I want to thank him for everything that he's done since he's gotten here. That's as a recruit to who he was as a player and how he competed inside of the building. And so a great appreciation for that side of it. Obviously, we're moving forward as a program without him. I said it to the guys today. There's no one that's bigger than the Power T, and that includes me.
There you go. He took the high road for the most part. Just basically say we're moving on. Now, he was asked the question about when did that decision happen in regards to Tennessee moving on?
Friday morning, when he's a no-show, you come off the practice field and there's no communication.
The other part about this, that if you're a Tennessee fan, you need to remember that Tennessee went all in with him. Not only did they give him a lot of money coming out of high school, but they also decided to get a lot of billable hours for their attorneys because the Tennessee Attorney General in the state of Tennessee sued the NCAA for unlawful enforcement, and they won an injunction so that Nico could play and that Nico could get paid his money. So once all this started happening, you just had a feeling that Tennessee was going to go down this road. Major kudos for them to basically say enough is enough, hit the road.
Yeah, because how many other guys that had thought about doing this, and we know that it's become this guy did it, this guy did it. It's kind of become a copycat market, if you will. But how many other guys were saying, well, does Tennessee cave on a guy like this? Are they going to give in? I would love to know, Pat, who gave Nico the advice not to show up to workouts and to practice? Was that his representation, or was that Nico going, yep, I'm going to do this? My guess, my hunch is that it was probably his camp telling him to do this. But can you imagine if Tennessee had caved? And how many other guys would we potentially be seeing this week or when the portal opens on Wednesday saying, no, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold this team over a barrel. I could not imagine him coming back, though, to that building after all of this being reported and then missing practice.
Former Tennessee head football coach and former athletics director, my best friend, Philip Fulmer, gave this quote to The Athletic. He said, "I'm proud of the stand we took as a university." This was a ripple effect throughout college football. Everybody was holding their breath. Mm-hmm. They were waiting to see if Tennessee was going to cave. Here's Mario Cristobal, the head football coach of the Miami Hurricanes. This is what he said. It was really weird watching him like at practice in shorts or at the M-Day or whatever they call it.
Were they too? Oh, is it just the shorts or were the shorts like unbecoming?
It was just.
Were they really short?
Well, I mean, it was just gym shorts. It wasn't bike shorts, but not as in the bicycle shorts. I'm talking about the old school bike coaching shorts.
Like with the snap buttons in the front.
I'm not talking about that. It just so a little weird.
You got to be careful if you're sitting down and you cross your leg.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate for the media probably covering Miami. Well, this is what Mario Cristobal had to say about the Nico drama.
We're not going to do that at Miami. And I say that without any hesitation. If anyone's thinking that, and they could be the best player in the world, if they want to play holdout, they might as well play get out. We don't want to do that. We don't want Miami to become that. Too many guys have sweated, bled, have laid on the line on that field to ever become that kind of a program.
Well.
That's the T-shirt. Hold out, get out.
Hold out, get out?
Yep.
No, you get an ironclad deal like you did with Carson Beck, and you pay him $3 million a year.
I just found it funny how Mario Cristobal is lecturing people about transfer portal, and he went and got Carson Beck.
Yeah. Miami of all places.
Yeah.
They've been on the forefront. They were doing things in the portal when nobody else had caught on yet.
I mean, I think they invented it back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Or even what he did as a head coach leaving Oregon for Miami.
Yeah. Exactly. It's just
correct.
Crazy. All right, let's hear from an SEC head coach, shall we?
Yes.
Let's hear from Brian Kelly. Let's see what's going on down in the Bayou.
This is wisdom right here.
Yes, this is what he had to say about the Nico situation.
I think that we're going to see a lot of this. This was a new world, and I think we're going to navigate it the best that we can. But I think that there's going to be other situations that come. I think this is the natural course that would happen when there weren't many guidelines out there.
Goes without saying.
This is, and we talked about this Friday, Pat. This has been going on. I told you that a guy that we know that's on a coaching staff, it's not at the Power 4 level, but that illustrates just how deep this runs. That was at a program where he said, even in some of our guys, they're not highly touted guys, but just to go and be reserved somewhere else, the starting rate is $100,000. We can't offer that. Yeah. We can't do that. Now, do we think that he could develop into a player that has a lot of promise? Yes, but he's going to go and he's going to be second string at best, maybe third string. but he wants that $100,000. And you have players going to coaches going, hey, can you meet this? I can't turn down this kind of money. And then he said, trying to educate them and explain to them after taxes, after your agent get their cut, how much do you think is going to be left for you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think that's the sad thing about this situation is I know a lot of people probably don't feel bad for Nico, but it's clear to me that he has either one person or multiple people that are just giving him horrible advice and what they are trying to get him to do and how to manage his career from a financial standpoint, from a, if you think there's somewhere that he can go and his skill set will be better suited for that, it just feels like this was such a miscalculation, and it's unfortunate for him because we're always going to remember him for this. And I just really hope that in the future, he will have better people surrounding him and giving him this advice because, the funniest part of this to me is, you brought up his dad and what his dad said on social media last week. And then you have reports that come out this weekend that his dad was telling him to skip the Ohio State playoff game if Tennessee wasn't going to renegotiate his NIL deal. And that to me right there, like, I just, that's horrible advice. And I think we can all agree with that. And it's just unfortunate that people that he seems to trust very much are just.
How is $10 million and you're reportedly receiving payments while you're still in high school? I will never be able to understand that. And maybe they're in a crunch. Maybe they're in a tight right now, the Iamaleava family, and they need that extra cash. But it seemed like he had a pretty lucrative deal.
I also found it interesting over the weekend how the Tennessee media have been always embracing Nico and his family. And then all of a sudden, the moment that he was heading out the door, I started seeing stories come about. Now, well, this is not an indictment on the family, but we do want to point out that whether it was Hendon Hooker's family or Milton's family, they were always very nice and accommodating to the media to sit down and tell their son's story. Meanwhile, Nico's family was like dealing with Tom Brady's PR firm.
Yeah.
And they never really got to know the real Nico or the story behind Nico and his family because it was a transaction. That's what it was. We're going to go out. We're going to get this kid from California. We're going to pay you all this money. And he's going to come and he's going to play quarterback. And it is what it is. I mean, it's the equivalent to me of a Major League Baseball team and going and getting a free agent superstar that you plug him into the locker room and there's no personality. There's no camaraderie. You're paying him because he's a hired gun, period.
Yeah.
And that's the way it sounds like Nico was. Not saying that he was a bad teammate. It just sounds like that there was not that lovey-dovey kumbaya, we're all for one attitude in the locker room with Nico.
I think we would all be naive to think that Nico's dad came up with this number of $4 million just on his own. Well, somebody's in his ear.
Well, all it is because the market has been set there.
It has been set there.
Because when you've got when you have a supposed quarterback transferring from Tulane to Duke of all places, and he's reportedly getting $4 million a year, and then Carson Beck is making $3 million a year to go to Miami, then all of a sudden they're sitting there going, we're making $2.2 million. This is ridiculous. The market has been set. You need to move as the market moves.
And by the way, I think poaching works both ways. We always look at it from a coaching staff looking out and contacting some of these guys that are on other rosters, but there's also a side of it where you don't think that the agents, like Jimmy Sexton does or anybody else, is reaching out to whoever they know on a certain staff going, hey, your quarterback situation looks a little bit shaky, and we know that you got plenty of money in that collective. My guy, we're going to try to leverage a deal, but if it doesn't work out, would there potentially be a landing spot?
Yeah, and now you maybe are even getting a little bit of the other side of that based on reports with this story that maybe there was a head coach in the Power Four that was tipped off to, hey, some quarterback shopping himself around trying to get a better dollar amount or a higher dollar amount. And then you're going back to that coach and saying, hey, I just think you should know that don't be surprised or be caught off guard if one of your players enters the portal because he's secretly trying to negotiate a deal behind your back. And you can feel one type of way about that or the other, but it's almost like the coaching brotherhood now of like, we're all in this crap together. And until we get this figured out, we kind of have to have each other's backs because this is just so out of hand. How could you ever keep up with it?
And in the coaching ranks, Pat, that fraternity of coaches, they all talk. They're very competitive, but they have their pockets and they stick together. They're thick as thieves. word is already, I'm sure, out that the Iamaleava family, you get him, okay, but there's a lot there.
Sure is. And so the big question now is once the transfer portal opens up officially on Wednesday, he's already had his paperwork filled out, as he told his offensive coordinator. We will see which schools starts kicking the tires. And Molly, our Twin Peaks Twitter poll question of the day had to do with where he potentially could end up.
Yeah, Pat said it. What Power 4 school is most likely to sign Nico? Is it USC, Texas Tech, Colorado, or other? And right now winning, it's pretty close, but Colorado is winning with 34.1%, USC with 30%, other with 26.8%, and Texas Tech with only 9.1%.
Yeah, there's some other schools, whether it's Notre Dame, whether it's North Carolina. I've heard those names being thrown out and about. As Landrum mentioned before, Texas Tech has spent a lot of money, and if they believe that he would be worth the headache, I think Texas Tech would write a check and make that happen. USC, in certain channels over the weekend, they said they're not interested. That's what some of their beat writers are saying. Meanwhile, Colorado, you just never know with Dion. You never know. They've got a pretty interesting quarterback room already.
Yeah.
I feel like
Dion, didn't he just
okay
ask
with
for
that.
more money and they told him we don't have any more? It was about something, didn't he? Didn't he ask more money?
I don't remember.
This might have been a couple of months back, and the president came to him and said, "Hey, we can't really help you." What if Sacramento State? Because we know the one-day drive. No, I'm not kidding, though. The one-day drive that they had, the fundraiser that they raised $30-something million for that program. Go to Sacramento State.
See, that's the best outcome in this is that he ends up at not another Power 4 spot, and and even if he gets his money, but it's all right, this is what you asked for, go make the most of it.
Well, I think we can all agree there will be somebody stupid enough to pay him.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and the funny joke is you look around at the landscape of college football and you go, man, where's somebody that has a roster that's ready to win now? You play in a high-power conference where you're going to have the spotlight on you. They have a great NIL program. They have an offensive-minded head coach, and everything you go and you check all the boxes, and it's the spot he just left in Tennessee.
Do we know
you're not
for
going to find a
sure?
better spot.
I know that it was reported, but do we know for sure, has it been backed by people at Duke that guy's getting that kind of money, Mensa?
I haven't heard a lot of people deny it.
I think it's at least $3 million a
But
year.
does this go back to the inflated numbers that get reported and all of a sudden that sets the market?
Yeah, exactly.
And you've got Nico's dad sitting there going, well, that's crap. My boy's a lot better than that kid. My boy was getting $2.5 million when he was still playing high school.
And I know we haven't thrown out a lot of kudos throughout history on this show to Tennessee, but I'll be the first person to say major kudos for
Yes.
Josh Heupel and that administration for saying enough is enough. We're not doing this. And I think everyone collectively in college football gave a standing ovation on Saturday morning when that news came out.
That relationship, after all of this news came out, one way or another, it was not going to end well.
No.
It was not going to end well if Nico rolls out against Alabama next season and he throws 2 pick sixes, or I don't know, just that was going to get bad quick.
Yeah, very much
There's
so.
already resentment with kids that are already on the roster. You make a bad play and you think back to, isn't he getting $800,000 to play football here?
Well, and like you said, even if the money worked out, there's no way he could have gone back into that locker room and had the respect of anybody on that team. It never would happen.
No, especially when you're over at your OC's house eating, and then the next morning you just don't even show up.
This is a guy that was already your highest paid on your roster. I don't know what kind of toys that Nico has bought for himself, but there's already that knowledge that our quarterback, he gets everything that he wants. Number one, he's the quarterback, and you're a quarterback of Power 4. That's pretty good as far as how you're treated. But now he's demanding more money?
Would have been like last year after the postseason, Aaron Judge goes, hey, I know I just signed this new contract. I stunk it up in the postseason. How about we renegotiate now because that's what the market's saying. It doesn't work like that.
All right, more three-man front on this reaction Monday. Trey Wallace at the bottom of the hour. Pete Nakos, who broke the story. He'll join us at 11 o'clock. So much to get into on this reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. I'm sure old Nico will end up on the West Coast somewhere. He's a California kid. Transfer portal opens up on Wednesday. It'll be very fascinating to see who kicks the tires on Nico. It'll also be fascinating to see how many Alabama Auburn guys head into the transfer portal on Wednesday.
Well, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Train, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit Train.com.
Congratulations, Conrad. It appears that Aaron Judge has been named the team captain of Team USA for the World Baseball Classic.
All right.
Sweet. Does that get us anything?
As a country, yes, we got a power hitter. We've got a guy that will now go out and recruit to try to get guys signed up. That's what Mike Trout did a couple years ago. Once he was named to the team, he was able to go out and call up some of America's best baseball players. And
Will
say,
Great Britain be
part of it.
featuring a team this year?
I hope so.
Did somebody sponsor their uniforms?
I love their jerseys. They're fantastic.
Great Britain.
GBR.
Oh, there we go. Crossover.
No.
Oh, okay. Nebraska doesn't like Great Britain?
No, we don't.
Okay.
I do want to offer my congratulations as I'll be presenting Molly the green jacket that I had in my possession for the last 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'm very excited. Thank you.
So Molly
Never a doubt.
won the competition.
No, you had a stacked team.
Thank you.
Matsuyama,
Morikawa, Fleetwood,
Fleetwood,
of course, Rory.
Like
I said, never a doubt.
Okay. So A-Day happened over the weekend at both Alabama and Auburn.
Did it?
It was reported that about 30,000 people showed up for the Auburn spring practice, jamboree, slam jam, whatever you call it.
Cakewalk.
Yeah, Jackson.
Did they have a cakewalk?
Jackson Arnold. They don't even know what that is, probably.
No, probably don't.
Jackson Arnold did not participate in the workouts there at the old stadium.
Is he holding out?
No, I just think he's been banged up a little bit.
Okay.
During practice.
Hamstring.
During the spring, so they want to protect him.
Got a hammy.
Wide receiver Perry Thompson had a good Saturday, along with freshman Sam Turner at wide receiver. Biggest question I've been told throughout spring has been the D-line. Look for Auburn to be active in the transfer portal at that front. But Deuce Knight continued to impress throughout the spring practice. Talked to someone who was at a practice for Auburn. I'm not talking about the open one. I'm talking about one where you can actually.
One that wasn't open?
Correct. And
they check you for your phone when you walk through the facility.
That's right.
They have master's protocol there.
And Deuce Knight was, this person would not shut up about Deuce Knight.
Hasn't thrown an interception all spring.
I can't believe they still let Don into practice.
It was not Don. I don't think Don made it
He was
to
peering
the
over the
closed
fence.
practice. But for the second
Holding
straight,
up the tripod with the phone on it, getting some footage.
So for the second straight offseason, though, Auburn has lost a freshman cornerback to a knee injury. Devin Williams suffered a torn ACL in practice earlier this spring. It was announced that he will be out for the 2025 season. So Auburn is not hurting at depth in the secondary. That is bad news for this individual. But again, with Tyler Scott coming back from injury and others. So meanwhile, down at Alabama, it was reported between 10 and 15,000 people showed up. Are y'all playing football this fall at Alabama?
No.
So Auburn has about 30,000 show up for their practice jamboree, and there's only 10 to 15,000 at Bryant-Denny.
Yeah.
And last year,
I would say both of those numbers are generous as well, if we're being honest. But yes.
And so how many was there last year for Kalen DeBoer's?
Oh, about 70, I think.
Oh. So where did the other 55,000 people go that were Alabama fans last year?
Augusta.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, they were busy.
They were in line for tickets to Midnight Madness for Nate Oates and the Tide.
That's right. That's right.
That's a big deal down
They were
there.
getting ready for the big baseball series that didn't go well. I'm sure.
Riley Quick did his job.
Yeah.
He did.
What, State got 2 out of 3?
2 out of 3.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Auburn swept LSU for the first time in 37 years.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Meanwhile, Missouri's 0-14 in the SEC.
So we're doing the basketball last year, baseball this year.
Yes.
Reverse basketball.
Ah.
So then next year they'll be in Omaha.
Yeah, I was about to say, based on record.
Your hotty toddy Rebels, though, they're in the upper tier, aren't they?
They're above 500 a couple games, so they had a good weekend.
In SEC play is what you're talking about, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, so they're I think around 5, 6, somewhere in the standings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Auburn's a top 10 team in the country now after their sweep over LSU.
That was impressive what they were able to do. I was able to catch some of that.
But back to Alabama A-Day, Simpson got the majority of the work of the first team reps on Saturday. No big surprise. He has throughout the spring. He looked solid. He was not spectacular. He was the only quarterback, Conrad, not to throw an interception. So that is something that will take you into the summer months very happy.
That sounds like every other report I've heard about the quarterbacks all spring. Was maybe not going to wow you, but he's not going to turn the ball over. The other guys are going to wow you and turn
maybe
the ball
the DBs can't catch.
Maybe so.
Ever thought about that?
I don't know if I want that to be the alternative.
Austin Mack threw 2 very ugly interceptions. Keelan Russell, tremendous talent, needs time to grow into the college position. So there's your quarterback.
Well,
updates.
Ty
Sounds
Simpson.
Exactly the same as the entire
That's the way it was
spring.
scripted, right?
I guess.
Well,
Did you see the video of them basically wearing shorts?
oh yeah, I mean they weren't.
Was it the compression?
No, I mean it was their football pants, but they were
Yeah.
literally cut off.
Yes.
And I mean, I got news for you. That would not fly in the Alabama High School Athletic Association football referees on Friday night. I cannot tell you how many times on a Friday night kids are being told to get off the field because their pants do not cover their kneecaps.
I know. Well, I just know it from the college game. You would just be blown away. What I can't believe we don't have more broken kneecaps.
It's a good point.
Nobody wears knee pads anymore.
No, they don't. They don't.
Coming up next on Three Man Front, Trey Wallace was in Knoxville over the weekend watching the orange and what do they call it? Orange and white game?
Orange and creamsicle.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
We will talk to him about all the Nico drama next on Three Man Front. It's 10:35, Jackson 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. When this story started breaking on Thursday night, we all started holding our collective breath going, okay, what's Tennessee going to do? What's the move on the chessboard? And we saw what happened on Saturday morning. Joining us now to kind of break all this down, he was in Knoxville over the weekend. Trey Wallace, outstanding college reporter there for Outkick. He joins us now on Three Man Front. Trey, I hope you're well, man. Just take us through it. It had to be an exciting weekend there for the orange and white game.
I did not. Good morning to you guys. Hope everybody's well. I did not expect to be covering a Tennessee spring game on Saturday, guys. I was looking forward to being at Bristol Motor Speedway for the weekend, watching the 23 car run around, and turns out those plans changed starting on Wednesday afternoon, leading into obviously the craziness that transpired on Saturday. It was. I've covered a lot of things in the sport, over 17 years of doing it. And you have something like this that comes to fruition on a Thursday night, and then it just keeps bubbling up over the next 12 hours leading into a Friday morning walkthrough before Tennessee spring game where Nico doesn't show up. And Tennessee had just had enough. It was time. And from Nico's side, too, like when you don't show up, for a practice before you're going to take the field to finish out, spring camp, the writing was on the wall that this relationship was over. And speaking with a number of folks in Tennessee around college athletics, this is something that I don't think it's transcending as a quote unquote holdout. I don't think there was enough time for this to be actually called a holdout. But at the end of the day, there's going to be lessons learned going forward. And, man, it was just a wild 72 to 48 hours.
Isn't it crazy, Trey, how just a couple of years ago you would have had a fan base, and maybe there were still a few Tennessee fans, but saying, hey, you got to pay this quarterback whatever he's demanding. We have to have him. Where now it's almost like fans and college football intelligentsia took a collective sigh of relief when Josh Heupel and Tennessee took this stand.
You know what the interesting part of all of it is when Pete Nakos, put out his thing on Thursday night. And by the way, the hate that Pete Nakos got was not deserved.
No.
Pete is a young reporter that is, man, he is really good. And I think that when that stuff, kind of go back a little bit, when that stuff started going out there, and then you had Nico's father, and then you had one of Nico's handlers coming out on social media and wanting to curse him out. And, it for about an hour, and you can't judge everything on social media. That's the biggest thing. You can't. I mean, hell, there were Tennessee fans that I talked to on Saturday didn't even know Nico was not a part of the team anymore. So I think that when you get to a point, and where we're at right now in college athletics. And again, you've got people behind the scenes that are trying to play puppet master in the situation. It's a point of no return, man. Like, and it's something that I've been discussing. It's, years ago, guys, I mean, it's 4.5 years ago. Are we having this discussion about college athletics? No, it's just handled in a different way. And I think the other thing to look at is that a lot of this stuff is not brought into the public light, meaning these collectives and these players usually have agents and representatives that can get this stuff done without it having to play out on social media. And that's where this one went to hell in a handbasket, because you can't try to play this out. You can't try to go after, a reporter or a father trying to act like something is not going on when it actually is going on, while you're trying to save face and you're trying to get the Tennessee fan base behind you. But at the same time, folks aren't stupid nowadays, guys. Like, a lot of people and fans of college athletics are tired of the talk about how much these players are making. And I understand it. But at the same time, they look at it as, man, we have no more relationships with these players. We can't get behind these guys. We they're here for a year. They're here for a semester and they're gone. I think that's where something that I look at over the last, 5 years or so. I think that's something that's been lost. And yes, like, the fans, they see this stuff play out, and they're not stupid. They can read through it. And at the end of the day, if you have somebody that here's how I put it to a really good friend of mine. I said, we're talking about money here and we're talking about quarterbacks. I said, DJ Lagway did more through 6 games last year at Florida than Nico did in 12 games at Tennessee. And I know there are 2 different circumstances with 2 different teams per se, but we're talking about a money situation here, and we're talking about players being paid. I think DJ Lagway deserves to be paid, over the $3 million mark. Do I think Nico deserves to be paid $4 million? Absolutely not. Like it wasn't as if Nico, and this is not a slight towards this young man at all, but it wasn't as if it was Nico that was throwing for 400 yards a game with a high-powered offense that led them to the playoffs last year. It was a defense. It was Tennessee's defense that got them there, along with a really strong rushing attack. And, every now and then you're seeing Nico throw a touchdown pass or 2. So what I'm getting at is that you didn't have much. What are you going to the bargaining table over? Okay, so here's what they do. They reach out to other schools, and they see what would the market look like if they were to transfer. What can the other schools, a few other schools, what are you going to offer us? Okay, all right, you're going to offer us this, this, and this. Let's try to go to Tennessee, and let's try to go to the poker table, and let's act like we got pocket 10s, but really we got pocket 4s. And let's see. And you know what? Tennessee called their bluff. And at the end of the day, you can hat tip Tennessee if you want. You can hat tip Nico for trying, but there's nobody that comes out of this looking good. That's the worst part.
All right, Trey, you might not know this, but being in Tennessee and being connected throughout college football like you are, let's talk about the Nico team. Is this ultimately the father's decision? Is this some agent? Who is giving him this really bad advice?
Well, by the way, so Nico does not have an agent.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that to you. I've seen media reports and stuff like that talking about, his reps and whatnot. His reps are his father, mainly. There was a gentleman named Cordell Landers. He used to be on the staff at the University of Florida some years ago. As West Coast Ties has produced a lot of talent in college football and placed a lot of players at certain schools. He was involved as well back, and I'm not talking about like recently involved, but I'm talking about during his recruitment, his name was thrown out a lot. And he was flying around with Nico and whatnot, along with his father, these 7-on-7 camps and everything like that. I think what you've seen over the last couple of months, dating back to December, when Nico came to the table and said, look, I need some weapons around me. Okay, all right. Tennessee tried to go out in the portal, find some weapons around him. And then Nico's camp was like, you know what, by the way, we need some more money as well. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, we gave you the fattest contract coming out of high school. We paid you while you were still in high school. You were flying around on private jets to 7-on-7 camps. You made an appearance at a Knoxville high school to play a 7-on-7 game. Well, how do you think they got to Knoxville from California? It was a part of the deal. You got $2 million to not play during his first year. You don't see that a lot in college athletics, guys, where you're paying somebody $2 million and they don't touch the field. Okay? Rarely do you see that. So at the end of the day, to get around back to the question as a whole, it's not some, CAA representation or WME or anybody like that, this guy. It's just his father and people that are close to him. And they're trying to make these decisions for the young man. And that's why I feel bad for Nico. I really do. Like, none of what I say should be construed as bashing Nico. I think at the end of the day, what you had, guys, is you had a situation where I think that he got some really bad advice starting around 7:30 on Thursday night. And when he was told not to go to practice, and by the way, you don't just not go to practice. You don't just not go to a walkthrough. And it's not like Nico is going to make that decision. He has a relationship with Josh Heupel. He was at the offensive coordinator's house on Thursday night playing with his kids, along with the other quarterbacks on the team. This decision was made between 10:30 Thursday night and about 3 o'clock Friday morning. And when they decided that they weren't going to show up, I think that was probably the worst advice you could have given to that young man, because, again, they could have had this conversation before spring practice started. They could have had this conversation yesterday after spring practice had ended. But it blew up in a way that it makes a lot of folks look bad, and especially his father.
Trey, if $4 million is indeed the number that they're seeking for him to play a season of college football somewhere else, what is the likelihood that someone now, especially with the optics of it all, and Tennessee saying no, what's the likelihood of another program saying yes, we're going to pay you that number?
Here's the problem for Nico. There are not a bunch of schools out there that are trying to go after him. So you're not getting into a bidding war with anybody. If you were going to get into a bidding war with somebody, it was the school that he was currently at. And the school that he was currently at said, no, we're good. We're not paying that. Sorry. Okay. We don't want to lose our starting quarterback. We don't want to go into next season without the guy that's been leading our team for the last 16 months. But at the end of the day, goodness gracious, if we give in to you, I'm going to have 20 players showing up at my office on Sunday wanting more money. No, they had to make that stand, and good for Tennessee if that's how you want to look at it. But I think right now you have to look at the teams that need quarterbacks out there. I mean, I've heard the North Carolina thrown out there. I've heard UCLA thrown out there. I think there's some other kind of smaller schools by name that would be interested. And I'm sure there's somebody that's a sleeping giant that's hanging around. It's like, oh, maybe we could up this, but are we willing to pay $4 million for a player? No. And that's why in talking with multiple sources about this, I don't think Nico gets anywhere near $4 million at the next school he goes to. And I think that the situation also, you have to ask the question financially, how much was it worth it? Was it worth it for an extra $500,000, $600,000? Okay. If that's how you think, and if that's financially okay for you, then so be it. But I don't think he gets anywhere near that, guys. Based
on folks that you've talked to, and I know that apparently Nico's father is a helicopter parent. We've all experienced those kind of parents. How demanding was he, not only with the financial compensation, but everything that he thought his son needed?
I say this in the nicest way possible towards Nico's father, and I mean no disrespect by this, but there were folks on Tennessee's campus that were very, very happy that he was not around this spring. They saw something different out of Nico. I was told he looked a little lighter on the field, maybe not had as much going on in the head because his dad wasn't around, and his dad was in Fayetteville, with Nico's younger brother, watching him go through spring practice and whatnot, and I think that benefited Nico. Guys, I get the question, but it's just like any other college kid, man. You don't want your damn dad hanging around on campus all the darn time. You can't enjoy life. You can't be a player. You can't grow up as a leader. That's another thing too. And I think that helicopter parents, man, and where we are, and I posted something earlier, but I've spoken with a lot of NIL agents over the last few days, and along with the last couple of years, but the last few days specifically, the best thing that young man could have done or could do is you go out and hire some representation to take care of you, and you take the decisions out of the father's hands or the family's hands. Don't have them be the ones that are controlling your future. I think I know of maybe one player in the NFL whose stuff is, contracts are being controlled or helped by a family member. I think it's Lamar Jackson. I think I've heard Lamar Jackson's mother, handles his contracts. Like, that's great. If you can, and don't quote me on that, but if you could separate that, that's the biggest thing. And look, the type of parent that, sure, he wants the best for his kid, but at the same time, you have to look in the mirror and say, man, is what I'm doing worth it to this young man? Am I going to be a helicopter parent when this kid goes to the NFL potentially and plays somewhere? Because the one thing that stood out to me, guys, and this was one of the probably the best quotes I got from a source over the last 4 to 5 days. The first thing NFL teams are going to do when this kid enters the draft and he's sitting down for meetings, whether that be at the Senior Bowl or the Combine or personal one-on-one meetings, they're going to ask, what the heck went on April 11th, 2025? You got to walk me through that, man. Walk me through what happened on that day where you decided not to show up for your teammates and you decided to take advice from a family member.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
And that stuck out to me, guys.
That's Trey Wallace from Outkick. Trey, always appreciate your time and your insight. Get back to some NASCAR, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Trey.
I wish. Missed out on that one, but you guys have a great week, and thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks, Trey. That is Trey Wallace joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. More three-man front reaction Monday. Jocks 94.5. Great conversation with Trey Wallace from Outkick as he was detailing everything that took place late last week. The gentleman that broke the story, Pete Nakos from On3 Sports, he's going to join this program in about 7 minutes from now as we will talk to Pete, and not asking Pete to disclose sources because that's his right as a reporter, but it will be fascinating to get his side of the timeline and his interaction with the Nico family and what took place, because there was a lot of talk, especially on social media, in regards to what Nico's dad accused Pete Nakos of and other reporters. So we will talk to Pete coming up at the top of the hour.
How about our friends at Dobbs Ford? Dobbs Ford, the Goshen family, just wonderful people, and the customer service you're going to get. That separates them from other dealerships, but it's also Alabama's largest showroom selection, and right now you get employee pricing. That's right. They're going to help you out. You get employee pricing from any of the select models that they have there at Dobbs Ford, and they got a lot of them. But not only the 90-day financing terms where you don't make your first payment for 90 days, but you get that great pricing on top of that. You really can't beat it. Dobbs Ford, it's right there on Parkway East. You're going to love all the folks that you deal with, whether it's Joey, whether it's his wife, Rachel, their son, Austin, or any other fine team members there at Dobbs Ford. Dobbs Ford. DobbsFordBirmingham.com. You can check them out today and make sure you tell them Landrum from Jock 94.5 sent you.
You know, it's interesting. You've seen all these TV shows and movies about alternative histories. You know, remember The Man in the High Castle, the show that was on Amazon that, you know, the premise was
the Nazis win.
Yeah. What happens if the Axis powers would have won?
Yeah.
You know, it would be a fascinating study to think about what would have happened if Nico would have been given the $4 million to stay at Tennessee. Like, what would that have caused the rest of not only the Southeastern Conference, but college football, the harm that it would have done moving forward?
So in a way, Josh Heupel and Tennessee football heroes.
They saved football.
They saved football.
They saved college football. So Conrad can't make fun of Josh Heupel anymore.
Nope.
Nope, I respect him now.
And he's so devastated because he has to respect him now instead of hating him.
Just him, though, not the whole program.
Oh, okay. Pete Nakos, who broke the Nikos story, he joins us next on Three Man Front. It is 11 o'clock on this Reaction Monday. Welcome in. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson with you. First hour of the show, but it's been a great deal of time talking about the Nico saga up at the University of Tennessee. We just had Trey Wallace on from Outkick. Some interesting comments from Trey. He was there at the orange and white game, had an opportunity to ask some questions in the presser with Josh Heupel. Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, the man who broke the story from On3 Sports, Pete Nakos, a frequent contributor on this program throughout the football and the spring portal season. He joins us here on Three Man Front. Pete, welcome to the program. I just want to go back to when this finally decided that you guys were going to, I would use the old terminology, print this story or post it on the On3 website. How long had this been percolating, I guess, in regards to hearing the rumors that Nico and his team might be looking to renegotiate things with Tennessee?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, this has been percolating since December when you kind of look at how it all somewhat worked out. So it didn't exactly pop out of nowhere, but late last week it became apparent that Nico entering the transfer portal was going to be a viable thing that might happen as these contract negotiations kind of moved on.
Pete, kind of lay this out for us, though. What leads potentially Nico's father, Nick, to believe that his son is worth, if it's $4 million a season, it seemed like they had a pretty good deal. But you witness these kind of things around college football and athletics all the time. What leads a guy like that to believe that his son is getting shorted?
Yeah, I can't speak for him, but obviously they felt that they should get more money. He was making between 2.2 to 2.5, and I mean, yeah, it's clear that the family wants more money, and that's kind of where things broke down. He was looking for $4 million, as ESPN reported on Friday, and yeah, it's clear that there was a difference in opinions on what Nico should have been getting.
Pete, in regards to your communication with the family, and I'm just basing this on what Nico's father posted on social media. And I know I'm not asking you to go into detail because you're a reporter. You're going to, keep your sources private. I get that. I understand that. Respect it. This conversation, did it take place with Nico's father, and how did that conversation go?
In terms of what kind of conversation?
Just, I guess, trying to confirm whether there was a open negotiation with Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I reached out to Nick before I put the story out, and we had a pretty blunt conversation where he told me to lose his phone number, and that was kind of that.
Sounds like a pleasant individual. Pete Nakos of On3 joining us here on Three Man Front. All of our guests join us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You don't have to give me any specifics as far as players or schools, but how prevalent is this, that these kind of negotiations that never see the light of day, they never make print, they never make the airwaves are going on?
Yeah, I mean, negotiations happen every day right now in college football, and there's a ton going on right now across the country, and a lot happened in the winter transfer portal window too. So, I don't know how to say it exactly other than the fact that, there were negotiations at Tennessee. There's negotiations across the country, and Nico and his family made the decision to not go to practice on Friday, and as we all know now, that was kind of it for Josh Heupel.
In regards to Nico's market moving forward, what are you hearing, if anything, out there on the grapevine? Who would be interested in his services? Yeah,
I mean, obviously put a story out today where I mentioned UCLA and North Carolina as potential suitors. UCLA has definitely shown interest. North Carolina is trying to figure out if it's the right fit. And then also reported that Tulane would be open to Nico, and that John Summerall started to kind of kick the tires on that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of where he lands, and definitely at this point, this process doesn't seem like it's going to be expedited.
If you had to bet on one side or the other, do you believe that someone caves to that $4 million demand and ultimately the family gets what they were seeking?
Yeah, I don't know if I can predict that, guys. I think it really depends on what school he lands at. But, yeah, it's I guess we'll see. But I don't want to predict it one way or the other. I'd be a little surprised at this point, but I guess we'll see.
I want to go back to December because you mentioned that these conversations were going on back before the new calendar year between Nico's family and the University of Tennessee. When, in your opinion, do you think it turned sour? Was it leading up to the orange and white game, or had this been a contentious relationship from the beginning?
I wouldn't say it was contentious since the beginning. I'd say it kind of turned into what it was in the last like 5 to 6 days at that. And I think that when he didn't show up to practice on Friday, I think that was kind of the sign that Tennessee needed to move on. And that's kind of what has taken place since then.
Pete, what trends are you seeing? Because we do have the spring portal that's opening up, but what trends are you seeing just when it comes to negotiations with high-profile college football players and programs? Is it seem like the market is stabilizing? Is it continuing to escalate as far as numbers and position players? You joined us a few months ago, and this would have been back several months ago, but you told us that it had kind of changed when it comes to defensive linemen. That became maybe the position of need, and a lot of those guys were going for minimum, whether it was $500,000. Have you seen any of those kind of trends as we've gotten closer to the spring portal season?
Yeah, I just say the biggest trend right now is the fact that this house settlement is not in place, and that's really going to turn the market upside down to an extent, because all these guys who signed big time deals, in December, a lot of those contracts were front loaded, and without the settlement in place yet, a lot of people can still front load contracts. So it's really kind of hard to get a feel of where the market is at the moment.
Okay, so in regards to the transfer portal opening up Wednesday, do you anticipate that this being as active as it has always been, the numbers will be around average, less, more? What are you anticipating?
The average number of like how much money you guys are getting, or like how many guys are going to go in
the number of people that will be in the portal, not so much money, the number of people.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expect to see an uptick, and I don't know, that I think I say that and think that just because of how the last 5 days have played out in my world, and with Nico going in the portal. So yeah, I'd imagine that what we're about to see should be pretty interesting.
So do you anticipate that folks might wait and see what, and it's a shorter window now in this spring portal?
I don't think anyone can wait.
Okay.
If you want to go in, you kind of got to go in.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to do anyone justice by waiting it out to see how it all kind of shakes out.
Okay. Well, that was going to be my question. How much did the House settlement have, if any, in regards to people looking for opportunities? Well, listen, Nick, Pete, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking something else.
Yeah.
Pete, I always appreciate your time and your story. Just an outstanding job covering this story and breaking the news, and it was fantastic. And just can't thank you enough. And again, keep up the good work.
We appreciate what you do, even if Nico's father doesn't.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you for having me on.
Thanks, Pete. That's Pete Nakos joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. And one thing you have to understand, there's a lot of stuff that obviously we asked him a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not defending Pete, but he's a reporter.
Yes.
And there are certain things that he obviously cannot go into specific detail about.
Right. And he would like to have people that he can reach out to in the future.
Absolutely.
To source things. And he certainly doesn't want to put himself between a rock and a hard place because of one individual and how he reacted to Pete trying to go and get information.
Yeah, but what Nico's father did on social media and calling him a bitch.
Oh.
And saying the things that he said on social media.
That's a Nick Iamaleava problem.
Yes.
That's not a Pete Nakos problem.
And that's coming from a man that puts on his Twitter that he's all about the kids. And he's all about trying to make young people into something special. And he's calling a very young reporter a bitch. That's class. Big time.
I'd say it's a bitch move to tell your son to quit on his team in a college football playoff.
Drop the mic. Conrad Van Ordering.
You win. You win today, buddy. You're our Rory.
More three-man front on this Reaction Monday. We're going to get to your text messages. We'd love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX. Nico won't be hearing that song very often. I did find it interesting what Pete Nakos was telling us, that it might even be a smaller school. Tulane fascinates me.
Tulane, when he said Tulane, he could have named 100 other teams, and I would not have been more surprised than when he said Tulane.
I would venture that Tulane would not give him $4 million.
No, but maybe Summerall is playing that. Okay, well, when he doesn't, I don't know. There's a lot of money there at Tulane. It's just, are they going to be willing to pay $4 million for a quarterback? Sacramento State. That would be awesome,
right?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Owning a home is great, but it can come with its share of headaches. Some of you out there know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you have any type of foundation issues. Cracks that started showing up, those doors and windows just won't close right. You can't ignore it because those issues are going to get worse. You need to call Alabama Professional Services at 205-951-9717 APS. They can send a team out to your house. They really know their stuff. They'll inspect everything, explain the problem clearly, and give you a solution moving forward to how they can rid those issues at your home. They can fix the foundation, tackle that sinking driveway with the poly-level system. It's quick, clean, and it looks fantastic. Call them today, 205-951-9717, or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com.
A lot of text rolling in on the Jocks text line here on this Reaction Monday. Best way for you to interact with us, and we love when you do. 205-834-9450. I'll take you there now. Jason texts into the show, and he said his dad told him to skip practice. Yes, that is apparently all coming from his dad. And I appreciate Pete for kind of clearing that up, where he doesn't have a agent per se. But now, as we're learning a little bit more about Nick Iamaleava, we're learning that, would there be room for an agent? Seems like a very alpha dad when it comes to his kids.
That one individual that he talked about, that's a friend of the family.
Was it Landers?
Yes. He was one that was quoted the other night saying that there is no negotiation going on. The family is extremely happy with Tennessee. So he's kind of like the unofficial family spokesperson outside of Nico's dad. But yeah, he said there's nothing to see here, that nothing was going on. That was from Landers.
About Colorado potentially being a landing spot for Nico, Drake says Deion would have nothing to do with that. He does not want the drama. Oh, I agree completely. You think Deion Sanders would put up with maybe how Nico's dad is being portrayed as being that helicopter dad? I don't. Jamie says it's baffling to me that a full paid scholarship isn't enough, and the possibility of millions later based on ability and talent to the NFL. I feel that kid has made a huge mistake. Greed. Well, ultimately, if it's his dad's decision and the respect for his father that Nico has, as many of us have for our fathers or have had for our fathers, might not be a Nico thing. He might not have a choice.
Yeah, and I mean, I get where he's coming from with the whole, because I mean, this has been an argument for a long time, is, well, they've always gotten paid, right? Because they got a full scholarship and a free education, and that's the way that they got paid. And unfortunately, that's just not realistic anymore. And I think we all agree that we don't have a problem with the kids getting paid. It just needs to be more reasonable, right? With the way that it was designed to be with NIL is, you put some money in the kids' pocket because they are bringing revenue into the university. But, when you start talking about millions and millions of dollars, that's when it gets a little overboard, right? I don't think anybody would have a problem if these kids are getting $50,000 a year, but when it's $4 million, it's a whole different game.
Well, and just coming off, it's not a season where you put up Cam Ward numbers. If there was a quarterback last year that deserved $4 million and what he meant to his team, I would say Cam Ward at Miami. Would you not have?
Oh, yeah, based on last year. And again, it's a situation where if, let's say, NIL was around 15 years ago and Cam Newton, fresh off of winning the Heisman and carrying Auburn to a national championship, says, hey, I'll come back for one more year for $4 million. Hell yeah, pay him whatever he wants. You deserve it. But Nico and what we got from him last year, no, you're happy You should be happy with the $2.2 million you were getting.
Smokey says there's a former SEC coach out west that loves drama, and he and Nico might make a great duo. Speaking of Cam Newton, Dan Mullen, UNLV.
Hey, UNLV can't even pay Dan Mullen.
I was about to say they can't even cover the last 2 years of his contract.
They might be in Vegas, but
you know
they
what?
apparently don't have Vegas money in the coffers for their NIL.
But hey, listen, it didn't stop Colorado from hiring Dion.
No, it didn't.
They didn't have the money.
That's true.
We'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Just pay him in gambling chips.
Plus, UNLV was that reported story about the quarterback who transferred there and said he never got anything that he was promised.
Oh, yeah, that
Remember
was
that?
last year. Yeah, because he left in the middle of the year.
He left in the middle of the year.
Yep.
Fat Joe asking, is Molly going to wear the green jacket to Social Taco? If she so chooses. As long as she doesn't get anything on it.
I
I'm
think
not
that should
paying
be
for
a
dry
requirement.
cleaning. Yeah.
Well, no, it's hers now. She has to pay for it to get dry cleaned, right?
Pat, you ought to do something to the jacket before she puts it on.
Like?
I don't know. Is she allergic to anything?
I don't know.
I thought you were going to say, like, I don't know, sit in some jelly or something. Not like you're trying to give someone hives.
No, not where like, I don't know.
It's
That's
itchy-
probably, you know what? In
it's
hindsight,
itchy
it's
enough as
probably
it
a bad
is.
idea.
Yeah, probably.
The voice of reason, once again, what's gotten into you? Robert, back to A-Day attendance or A-Day festivities or fan day or whatever they're calling it now. Remember, this is a spring practice and not a game. There's a difference. Folks from Greenville are not going to drive 3 hours for a 90-minute glorified practice. This is not an indictment on Kalen DeBoer and the direction of the Alabama program. Robert, spokesperson for Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah,
I don't
Pat was
think
saying all these awful things about the Alabama fans.
No, he was just calling it what it was. There was 10 to 15,000 people reported.
There was 70,000 people last year, and according to the Tuscaloosa News, it was between 10 and 15 this last Saturday.
Conrad, if they had played for an SEC championship, gone to a college football playoff, would more people have shown up for the glorified 90-minute practice?
So why did Auburn have 30,000 and Alabama had 10 to 12,000? That's the part I'm confused about.
It was better weather.
Pat's trying really hard today.
No,
He's
I'm not.
really
I'm
Auburn had bounce houses. Did Alabama?
Stirring this up.
They have free pony rides at Auburn?
Mm-hmm, I think so.
The equestrian?
I think
had
Rob Pate had his Sweet Frog set up all around the place.
Did he?
I don't know. I would have.
The Auburn fan base is just more dedicated. Pat, is that what you wanted me to say? That's what he's trying to get at.
You need to go to page 3 of the script. And read what you're supposed to say.
Quit being a bandwagon fan, Conrad.
A bandwagon fan.
That's right.
A bandwagon Auburn fan?
Is Nate Oates more popular on that campus now than Kalen DeBoer?
I think he's more popular than Nick Saban.
Who?
Some guy that used to work
The dude
there.
that works
he
at
still
ESPN?
works there. We just never see him.
The guy that works at ESPN? The guy that's up for the
Emmy
for
nominee?
the Emmy?
Yeah, the Emmy.
That's the field's named after him, right?
It's someone in his family.
That's the Aflac guy, right?
Yes.
No, that's Dion.
No,
it's
it's the Verbo guy.
Who's the white guy that's in the commercials with Dion?
The duck?
Yes, the duck.
The duck.
So Tennessee spoiled the young man and never set any parameters or disciplined him. Now they're mad he shows his butt in public. They created the monster. Now they want credit for doing the responsible thing. Please.
I mean, I think they should be given credit for doing the responsible thing. I mean, if they would have given it to him, then, I mean, seriously.
If they would have given it to him, even if you didn't have any other school that was willing to do that, and they say, well, that was just a dumb move, you'd still have kids coming up on Wednesday that would go, well, he just got this. I want this.
Okay, so whatever amount of money Auburn is paying Jackson Arnold.
Yeah.
And if Jackson Arnold comes up, did Jackson Arnold really have a hamstring issue, or was he renegotiating his contract?
Exactly.
Or is it the fact that Deuce Knight all of a sudden decides he's not going to participate in practice on Saturday because his people are negotiating? Or Keelan Russell at Alabama. I mean, this was about to go down a dangerous path if Tennessee would have caved in. So, yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee should take the victory lap, because when it's all said and done, I know we have not mentioned it yet, This severely weakens Tennessee's chance of making it back to the college football playoff, period.
Oh, that's the most impressive thing is Heupel was willing to say, I'm making a stand for the future of this program, even if it means I'm sacrificing 1 year of my career.
Believe it from that angle, but this is interesting too, and I think it's a really good point. On top of doing the right thing for football and UT, Josh Heupel also deflected any criticism should they falter this season.
That's true.
I put the block T above this season. This is about the future of Tennessee football and athletics.
And maybe he knew that they weren't going to have a great team this year, and so he planned all of this. He planned it all.
But they're also, it's we got to wait to see how it's going to be written. But who was the idiot that came up with the idea of giving him all this money to begin with?
That is
like who looked at the tape and said, "Okay, here's the next Tua Tagovailoa. Let's go.
Was it the pilot people?
The same people that own the Cleveland Browns that make great choices at quarterback."
Oh God, that is a really funny connection, actually.
Yeah, we just took a vacation out to California, and man, we saw this kid. Looks good. Offering crazy money.
You're going to love it when you get drafted to Cleveland. You get to dress up like a turd every Sunday. You're going to have a big time with that.
If I'm Jaden Rashada, I'm like, what did we do wrong?
Hey, by the way, Conrad, I know that you're a big Katy Perry fan. She made it back to Earth.
Oh, she's back?
What?
Yeah, she's back.
She went.
Oh, didn't she, Jeff Bezos and them go up in space today?
11 minutes. And
they were up there for 11 minutes?
11 minutes, and she is back. She's back on Earth.
Who was she up there with?
That's good news.
Was it the cast of The View? Who was it?
No, it was Oprah Winfrey's best friend.
Oh, Gail.
Yeah, Gail King. Let's see here. Who else?
Wait, but not Oprah? She didn't want to go?
No, Oprah was there watching. So were the Kardashians. Oh, it was a who's who watching today at the launch.
Is it from Cape Canaveral?
No, it's from Texas.
Or in Houston? Okay.
No, it was like out in the West Texas.
Oh, out in the boonies somewhere?
Mm-hmm.
Lubbock.
I was trying to think who else was on this.
Maybe Nico was there.
It was an all-woman team, or
because it was Jeff Bezos's wife or his whatever she is girlfriend.
Did she go up in this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I would have felt really safe. Or if they were.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Good for Katie.
Well, I know you've
Hope
got
we
all
get a
those,
song out of it.
Those Katy Perry vinyls in case something would have happened. Your vinyl collection would have gone up.
Yep, they're right next to my Dua Lipa vinyls.
Would you do that if offered?
No.
Wouldn't?
No.
What, you really?
No, not a chance.
Oh, that would be so cool. To go into space?
No.
I think it would be really cool.
Oh.
But my big fear would be, all right.
There's not a pilot. You're completely basing it 100% on master control.
That's what what people do every day with Tesla in some cases.
Well, don't drive a Tesla.
I would feel way better about that than the rest in peace, the Titanic sub thing. Remember that? I would much rather do the space. I would take my chances on that before the submarine.
Yes. If you're going to go.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, go see space. That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people can do that. Maybe one day it'll be affordable.
All right, we'll continue with your text as we move along. We got plenty more we'll get to. 205-834-9450.
Coming up at 11:45, we'll talk to the general manager of the Birmingham Barons. The season is off and running. A lot of great things coming up this next homestand for the Barons. Later on at 1 o'clock, we'll talk a little Masters. Scott Hamilton, outstanding columnist for the Charleston Post-Courier. He's covered about 14 or 15 Masters, including yesterday in Augusta. We'll get his thoughts on what he witnessed as history was made as Rory McIlroy now joins a very select group to win the Grand Slam of everything when it comes to golf. That's all next on Three Man Front. I'm just glad that she made it back safely.
How much do you want to bet this song was played on the spaceship?
Think so?
Yes. Absolutely.
No doubt.
It is Reaction Monday here on Three Man Front. Pat Smith, Landrum Roberts, Conrad Van Order, Molly Robinson with you. Do something about your trees before one ends up on your roof of your house. And I'm talking about Goldston Tree Service at 205-337-4018. Operated by a certified arborist, Goldston Tree Service handles little jobs like trimming hedges and shaping trees, hazardous jobs like line clearance, and big jobs like complete tree removals with cranes, grinding the stump and roots out and hauling off to the last twig. Complete removal. And the best part, they offer 24-hour emergency storm work service. Remember this number. Put it in your phone. Goldston Tree Service, 205-337-4018. Operated for over 35 years by a certified arborist. He's here to help you. Goldston Tree Service, 205-337-4018.
It was interesting with the conversation. You asked about the numbers of players that we're going to see in this upcoming spring portal. What's your prediction when you asked Pete about that? But what do you think? Do you think we get the same number? I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And the question that I try to ask him in regards to, okay, the house settlement, do you believe that that might cause some folks to maybe drag their feet a little bit? And he said, absolutely not. Because the house settlement, there's no telling when that is going to officially be put to bed. So if you want to get in the transfer portal, better go ahead and head that way. It will just be fascinating to see which position groups, both Alabama and Auburn, that they will suffer guys leaving, and then which areas will Alabama and Auburn then kind of hone in on to try to help in regards to adding depth to that group.
You think it's Alabama? Do you believe that we see anyone enter the portal that would be a high-profile name or at a high-profile position?
It's been all over the place. I know Friday we kind of talked about it. I maintain that I would be shocked if someone in that quarterback room that we don't talk about on a daily basis is not gone.
Yeah.
That's in the portal. I would be surprised. Which one is it? I mean, you can kind of use deductive reasoning and kind of come up with probably the most likely candidate. Don't think it would be the individual that just got there in January.
Mm-mm.
I don't
Wouldn't be the guy that's been there for
20 years,
which seems like 20 years.
Yeah. Correct. So
maybe the other guy.
That's just the people that I talk to and that I trust. Now, do those same people believe that all three of them could be coming out in fall camp? Yes, they do. But that's just my opinion. My opinion is that I think one individual may decide to test the waters and move on.
I still can't get over Pete telling us that Tulane potentially would be interested. Not that they wouldn't be interested, but $3 million, $4 million for a quarterback.
You know, it's also really funny because, North Carolina really puts themselves like very haughty in regards to their academic standards and all that kind of fun stuff. And I know you went out and you're paying Bill Belichick a lot of money to be your head football coach. But if they were to go out and sign Nico, you want to talk about starting a whole new era in North Carolina football history. I mean, if you thought the Belichick hire was one thing, you going out and getting someone that is just a known hired gun to walk in there. I just don't see Bubba Cunningham allowing that to happen.
Well, and I just don't see Bill Belichick wanting to deal with that kind of a situation. That seems like the antithesis of what Bill Belichick would hate about college athletics.
I mean, because that
would be a shock.
Because we know Nick Saban, he predicted it.
Yeah,
that was one reason Nick Saban decided to get out of it. I've said this before, but there were players on that football roster before they got on a plane to fly to Pasadena to play in the national semifinal game. They wanted to renegotiate their NIL deals before they got on the plane, using that as leverage. You're going to represent Alabama in the national semifinal game, and you're worried about how much money you're going to get. That was happening. And that was another reason why it was that another little chink that off the armor of Nick Saban to where he was like, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to have to deal with this. If I wanted to do this, I could coach in the NFL.
Do we believe that Nico has more success? That he finds a landing spot, it's a Power 4 program, and then he goes and sets the world on fire next year?
No.
He didn't set the world on fire this year.
No.
No,
and
I think
Tennessee
he could
had a
go
good
somewhere-
football team, and he had weapons to play with.
I was about to say, I think you could see him go somewhere and have statistically a better season, but it's going to be against lesser competition, and so everyone's going to go, okay, so what do we put more stock in? The year you had at Tennessee where you struggled, or the year you had at, whatever, some Big 12 school or something against average competition, and you.
So you think? Do you think the Big 12 would suit him better than the Big 10 if he did go to UCLA or USC?
I think the Big 12 would suit him better, but I think if he just wants to go home, then USC or UCLA would be interesting.
And not that it transpired the same way, but I think about DJU, and the best that we ever got from DJU was, essentially when he was at Clemson.
Well, and you could probably argue, the best that we've saw Nico play was in the bowl game against Iowa where he was the MVP. Just like DJU, the best we ever saw him play was when he had to fill in for Trevor Lawrence that time he got hurt and they beat
Notre Dame.
And they beat Notre Dame.
Yep.
And that was kind of it. So
what's crazy though is at the end of the day, if he never does another thing and never makes another dime, he's reportedly before taxes already gotten $8 million.
Or his dad has.
He'll be a good trivia question.
That could be a lawsuit down the road.
Dad won't give me my money.
We've seen it with child actors and their parents.
Yeah.
He pulls a Britney Spears and tries to.
Well, let's hope he's not dancing
conservatorship
around his foyer with kitchen knives anytime soon, but that's what she does.
Blow out the candles in your gym.
So now the question is, where's Tennessee going to go? They need depth in the quarterback room. They've got a true freshman and a redshirt freshman. That's it.
You can't go to the SEC.
Nope, sure can't. So Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson is the name of the moment.
That would be a nice consolation prize.
Kansas State people are very worried that Tennessee has identified him as a player of interest, and that's who Tennessee could bring in.
Manhattan, Kansas. We develop national championship quarterbacks.
See, I would also, I wonder, because one of the teams that we talked about this morning and they were on our poll question was Texas Tech, right? And all the money that they've been spending. So they have a quarterback who last year he threw for 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. So if that's a situation where they say, well, we think we could upgrade with Nico, or we think that's just kind of the high-profile name we want attached to our brand here in Lubbock, is that a guy that goes in the portal and Tennessee says, hey, we'll just do a little swap here, we'll save some money, and we think we can get equal production out of this guy, if not even better. It's going to be interesting. But there's going to be someone that goes in the portal that we're not expecting because they have an opportunity to go play at Tennessee.
That will be a fascinating story to watch. The transfer portal officially opens up on Wednesday. It's also Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator for Alabama. He's meeting with the media now. So we'll be able to kind of break down what he is telling media in regards to what he saw as he is back at the capstone as the OC, his first full spring as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. When we come back on Three-Man Front, Jonathan Nelson, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, will join us. A lot of great activities at Regions Field coming up this week as the homestand gets underway for the Barons. This is Reaction Monday on Jocks 94.5. It is 15 minutes in front of the hour. This is 3-Man Front on This Reaction Monday. Thanks for making us a part of your Monday. A lot going on today. Nico, Masters, baseball. Aaron Judge named captain of the Team USA for the World Baseball Classic. We will talk to Jonathan Nelson, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, momentarily here on 3-Man Front.
You need to update your outdoor living space around your home. You can certainly do it with our friends at Second Generation Masonry, whether it's decorative stone, whether it's concrete, cinder block. You think of it, they can absolutely do it. Second Generation Masonry, great Alabama-based company specializing in not only residential projects like outdoor fire pits, outdoor kitchens, driveways, whatever you can think of, but also if you're in commercial construction, you're looking for a dependable sub, they can certainly do it. So if you're an estimator, project manager, superintendent running around right now and going, golly, man, I just cannot find a good masonry sub. Well, Second Generation Masonry, they can certainly do it. Go to their website, check out some of the completed projects, secondgenerationmasonry.com. You're going to get the 1-year guarantee with everything they do. Get the free quote today, secondgenerationmasonry.com. And as always, tell them Landrum from 3-Man Front sent you.
Well, the weatherman must be cooperating with Jonathan Nelson because it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice week at Regions Field. And the general manager of the Barons joins us now on 3-Man Front. Jonathan, I hope you're well.
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, we're doing well, and Barons are in first place. And like you said, with the weather forecast over the next 7 days, looks great here for Barons baseball games. So we're thrilled, and it's Holy Week, it's Easter weekend, but still, nonetheless, we begin 6 games tomorrow.
I will keep that in mind after what I'm going to say now.
Oh, here we go.
And I don't appreciate it, Mr. GM, Jonathan. I'm out in San Antonio, and I know
you saw the video, didn't you?
I saw the video, and it was about the championship ring.
Yeah, you just yanked it right up from underneath me.
Not only did we not get championship rings, then you go and you flaunt it. It's the ultimate form of cruelty for you to do that. And I just want to tell you, you ruined my trip.
Landrum, well, I mean, I would think Auburn losing ruined your trip, but I'm more impressed with you working today. I mean, come on. I mean, you're back. I mean, you're actually on the air.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, no, I mean, it was great to have Conrad and Pat here, and certainly when we introduced the team and all that. And so but no, nonetheless, I understand the sentiments, but, like I said, a long time ago, the rings, I think, are in the mail. I'm just surprised they haven't gotten to Jocks yet.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you know when they get here.
I mean, we didn't even get like a hot dog voucher or anything.
Nothing.
Zero.
Nothing.
Well,
not even
working on it.
Not even a plastic batting helmet with some melted ice cream in it.
Yes. Just something.
Nothing.
Well, we're here. We're here for the next 6 months, so we'll take care of you next time you come out to Regions Field for sure.
All right, so let's talk about this week. We got Jackie Robinson game. You got Wine Wednesday, Thirsty Thursday, Friday night fireworks. I go on and on. It's going to be a really good week there at Regions Field.
It is, and I appreciate it. It's obviously April 15th, as everybody knows it is tax day, but in the baseball world, it's Jackie Robinson Day. So we're honored to be at home and to partner with the Negro Settling Museum and have some former Negro leaguers here as well and do our part in honoring and celebrating the Jackie Robinson Day here at Regions Field for our game and kicking off a 6-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers AA affiliate, the Biloxi Shuckers. But yeah, I mean, this is our first full homestand, and clearly it includes a Bark in the Park, a dog day here Wednesday with $3 wine, and then our first Thursday, and when you had all those things, fireworks on Friday and a giveaway on Saturday, and then a matinee game on Sunday with this kind of weather, Barons being in first place, still loaded with some of the best prospects the White Sox have, it should be an incredible week to be here at Regions Field and in the Parkside district of the Magic City.
You just laid out some of the promotions and the weekly specials, but other events that you're going to have not only throughout the season and when games are taking place here, but other events. Can you kind of just take us through some of that and what we can expect there at Regions this season?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have a lot of the usual suspects, the staples that we have here, a Hawaiian shirt giveaway and bobblehead giveaway and a number of other, Thirsty Thursdays and fireworks on Fridays and Saturdays, our Pyropalooza, and, of course, Rick Woodward, which we're thrilled to turn back the clock and go back there. I mean, last year was a major league game, and we talked about this, a few weeks ago, but, being able to go back there on June 4th and, talking with Pat and, about, being a part of it as well. And we spoke last week with Jim Cott, our celebrity guest, who's the Hall of Famer that's going to be attending that. And he is thrilled. You know, he actually pitched for Chattanooga in this league when he was en route to a Hall of Fame career with the Minnesota Twins and other teams as well. So that's going to be another special day for us. And I'm hopeful that we can get some semblance of the similar weather on June 4th, that Wednesday, as we are this week.
Yeah, hopefully low humidity, right?
Yeah, low humidity. Well, just clear skies. That's all that matters for me.
I know. I understand that. All right. So I had to ask you about your White Sox. I know in the standings they don't look too sporty, but is it just me? Again, I'm a National League Central guy, not an AL Central guy. But it seems like when I've seen them play, they look different. They look improved, but the record might not show that. Am I wrong about that? What's your assessment of the White Sox right now?
Well, I mean, this is on the heels of beating the Red Sox 2 out of 3 this past weekend in Chicago. And Landrum, the White Sox and the Braves have the same record, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
yeah.
he's taking all sorts of shots.
No, I was actually going to say the White Sox have looked better in their losses than the Braves have.
But the White Sox, you know, with obviously with last year being what it was and a very low bar and low expectations going into 2025, I think that, you know, certainly you're seeing an uptick and you know, not only in the new regime and Will Venable is the new manager, but you're also seeing, you know, an opportunity for some of these prospects to get some playing time. You know, Brooks Baldwin, who spent most of the season with us last year, you know, he's been playing a variety of positions and yesterday playing the outfield. So I think that what you're seeing is, and you're seeing a lot of these top prospects, while they're not going to rush a lot of the prospects, you know, certainly the ones we have here, some of these pitching prospects, but I think you're starting to see slowly but surely some of these prospects get to the major league level and get their feet wet and get some experience. But I agree with you, Pat. It just seems like, you know, again, you know, I don't want to be so on the heels of the winning 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox. And beaten, well, they should have beat. I wish they would have beaten Crochet yesterday. But regardless, you know, there is some optimism, and there should be. And I think in 2 to 3 years, and I don't think that's just being a homer on my end. I think that the White Sox have some legitimate prospects that's going to be very exciting in the next 2 or 3 years to see how they develop and hopefully get to the south side of Chicago.
Hanging out with Jonathan Nelson, Birmingham Barons GM, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You've been mistaken for me by one individual for some reason there at Regions in the past, but I'm looking at the picture that we have on Jocks TV that we're showing our people watching on YouTube. I don't know when this picture was taken. Not really sure where it is, but you look like Lane Kiffin. Did he not look like Lane Kiffin in that picture?
Similar.
Very similar.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new one.
A more fit Lane Kiffin.
Oh, how about that?
Well,
Just
I don't
giving you a
have any
compliment.
SIP sweatshirts or anything like that. But
Are you into Pilates?
Not into Pilates by any means. The next time I do, it'll be the first, whatever Pilates is. But you know, I take that as a compliment. I mean, he's a funny character. He's obviously a really good, you know, smart offensive-minded coach. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, I haven't had that sort of that comment to me in a couple years. I haven't seen that gentleman who was here frequently a couple years ago.
He always thought you were Landrum.
Yeah.
Wasn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He would always come up to me and say, "Hey, Landrum," and I'd be like, "You stepped in what?" No, I mean that's not it.
You're just, I mean, golly.
Man, I love it. I love it.
This is
great.
This was unwarranted. I'll tell you that.
You came at him hot. What do you
Welcome
expect?
back to
Yeah, I
Birmingham.
came at him hot, but I thought we had moved on from that. I just wanted to let him know that I saw the video and I didn't appreciate it very much, but he is really doubling down. That's fine. I'm gonna start claiming that I'm Jonathan Nelson out in public and doing terrible things.
That's gonna get you nothing. That's gonna get you charged twice in any restaurant.
All right, tickets, $12. Tell everyone how they can get them and just kind of hit some of the highlights this week. They're at the ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we talked about, we open a 6-game homestand beginning tomorrow, Jackie Robinson Day. It's going to be another special day here at Regions Field, and we roll right into Wet Nose Wednesday, $3 wines here on Wednesday, a new promotion that we're doing. Thursday, which we're thrilled about with this kind of weather that we're going to have here, have fireworks on Friday, a giveaway on Saturday, and then Easter Sunday after everybody goes to Mass. They have their lunch, 4:00 game time here at Regents Field to cap off their Easter Sunday if that's what they choose. But it's going to be a magical week here at the ballpark. The Barons are in first place, really good prospects, great weather, America's pastime, all those type things. So we're just thrilled to be here and to be a part of the scene here in the Magic City this week. And again, just, first full homestand of the year and should be very special.
In the words of Beyonce, put a ring on it, Jonathan. Come on.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right, Jonathan.
Yours is in the mail.
Well, hey, for me, I appreciate the relationship. I am not been out of shape.
Pat,
like
you bitch to me
Landrum is.
all the time about not getting the championship ring.
No, I didn't, Landrum.
Jonathan, don't you believe him for 1 second.
Jonathan's known me a long time.
We have
Jonathan
our
way.
pout parties. It's like we still have not gotten those rings. Maybe just replica rings, like they gave out at the Braves
nobody's
back in
gonna know.
2022. That everybody was getting those big
That's
plastic
right.
gaudy rings.
Oh goodness! All right, Jonathan. Have a good week. We'll talk to you soon.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
Jonathan.
it, guys. Thank you. Have a great Easter. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. That's Jonathan Nelson, GM of the Birmingham Barons, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. A little bit of news coming out of Tuscaloosa. So I told you that Ryan Grubb was meeting with the media, and the final question of his media session, he decided to share where the current quarterback battle sits at Alabama. Direct quote, "At the end of the day, if we're playing a football game tomorrow, Ty Simpson would start. He earned that." So Ryan Grubb making a little headline as he gets ready to walk away for the summer, as he reports that if you played football tomorrow, Ty Simpson is your starting quarterback. He also praised Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, but he wanted to make it clear that Simpson remained at the front of the line if Alabama played Florida State tomorrow. Look how excited he is. He's pumped.
Well, that was my expectation. That was my expectation the whole time. I said it a couple weeks ago. Ty Simpson doesn't have to win a Heisman for Alabama to get back to the playoff this year. You just need him to not turn the ball over and be consistent. And it sounds like that's what he's done so far.
Yeah, just ask Jake Coker.
Love me some Jake Coker. Run through a brick wall for that guy.
Grubb went on to say, "We're not going to be satisfied with the quarterback group until it's how it's supposed to be."
That's right.
Winning championships. Making it to Atlanta.
I can't wait for Nico to start for us in 2 years.
You say it with no sincerity whatsoever, but would that be the craziest thing we've seen?
It is 12 o'clock on this Reaction Monday. Welcome back in. This is Three-Man Front, Pat Conrad, Molly Landrum. Spent a lot of time this morning talking about Nico leaving the University of Tennessee. In the next hour or so, we're going to spend a little bit more time talking about the Masters, the historic relevance of what took place as the green jacket is awarded to Rory McIlroy for the first time in his career. So it's been a really special show. We appreciate everybody texting, calling in at 1-800-239-WJOX. The Courtesy GMC text line is 205-834-9450. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator at Alabama, just wrapped up a press conference moments ago in which the last question, he detailed that if we played football tomorrow against Florida State, Ty Simpson would be the starting quarterback at the University of Alabama. That was kind of the main headline coming from that press conference down in Tuscaloosa. The transfer portal will open up on Wednesday. We anticipate that all schools in our area will anticipate that there's going to be quite a few people jumping in the portal, and they'll be shopping as well.
Well, if you're shopping for a place that's going to help you to feel better about yourself, get into shape, well, you can do it at Mandu in downtown Homewood. Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness, but quite simply, Mandu is the fastest, safest way to build muscle. And everyone at every age needs muscle. Retaining and building muscle has been shown to improve health in a number of ways, but also it's Mandu, it's the efficiency. 15-minute workout because of the electrical muscle stimulation technology. It's the equivalent to 6 to 8 hours in a gym. You go into Mandu for your first visit there in downtown Homewood. You can tour the facility. They will put you into a suit that hooks you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various muscle groups. They put you through a 15-minute workout, and the workouts, they vary. If you want to work on your legs, well, you're not going to do something for your arms. They can tailor make it just for you, whatever you're trying to achieve. It's great. Mandu in downtown Homewood. Once again, your first visit's free, MANDUU.com, and always tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So according to the Montgomery Advertiser, around 30,000 folks showed up at Auburn's practice on Saturday. This is what Hugh Freeze had to say about the A-Day assessment and thoughts to the spring.
I thought we had a great spring, truthfully. I love the chemistry in our building right now and the energy. Got to get, some guys healthy that weren't able to get through spring that we're depending upon. But, man, what a beautiful day in Jordan-Hare, and our fans showed up. And I think we pretty clear it would be a kind of a practice, and they still showed up. I mean, it just tells you about the Auburn people and how great they are and the support they have for us. So thought it was one of the better springs I've been a part of, and a lot of credit goes to our staff and our leadership team for demanding the accountability to the standards.
That was Hugh Freeze after the spring practice there at Jordan-Hare Stadium on Saturday. This morning on the Mac and Cube program here on Jocks 94.5, you can download the entirety of this interview that Hugh Freeze had with Mac and Cube on the Mac and Cube podcast. This is what Coach Hugh Freeze had to say about Jackson Arnold and what he needs to fix going into fall camp.
The biggest thing was he already, was in a system that is very similar and as far as the fundamentals of the mechanics of the quarterback position. So it wasn't and I loved all of his mechanical stuff. Kent is very good at helping with that, but truthfully, when I watched the film, I was like, Kent, I don't want to change anything with this kid on the way he handles the ball, his fundamentals. The thing we've got to do is get him confident to be the leader of our team, and that's what we need to work on the most is what does he feel comfortable with, and helping him obviously with his progressions and things. But what I found out, Cole, when we started is Jackson wants to be coached hard, and he's hard on himself and probably a little bit too hard on himself. Needs to restore that swagger that he had, being the Gatorade Player of the Year. And I think we saw that this spring. He started having a swagger about him and confident that he is one of the elite players in the country.
Jackson Arnold did not participate in the practice on Saturday. He was dressed out, but he sustained a minor leg injury in practice the week before, so they wanted to hold him out. Also, Hugh Freeze, after the spring practice on Saturday, He talks about the positions of need as the transfer portal opens up on Wednesday.
We haven't made that final determination yet. And, some of it will probably depend on what's available. I think it's probably going to be a pretty hard sell, maybe, so that's something we're still determining. But the positions, you never will turn down interior D lineman or pass rusher or some guys with experience. I really like our young linebackers. Could we use one that has some experience? If one's available, probably so. And never turn down a great cover guy either.
There you go. So we'll see what the shopping list looks like for both Alabama and Auburn as things get open up on Wednesday.
When he said it's a hard sell, just for any high profile guys to come in at this point?
I do believe that specifically he was talking about quarterback, and they were asking if he would want to have 4 scholarship quarterbacks on the roster and saying it might be a hard sell for someone to come and be the 4th guy.
Yeah, I think in what we've seen, and this is everybody's always going to say you need more defensive linemen. You need to have that depth. As far as some of the frontline guys that Auburn does have, I know that they recruited to that position because we got a Jordan Crawford from here that played for Parker,
right?
State champions, and everybody's just blown away by his strength and his explosiveness. But not in him in particular, how many of those young guys you're going to be able to count on? Play meaningful snaps, meaningful minutes, and get that kind of production. So, yeah, anytime that you can bolster that defensive line, if it's just bodies and a guy coming in and spelling somebody for a brief amount of time, it's certainly worth it.
Well, speaking of the transfer portal, it looks like the University of Tennessee is in the market for another quarterback. This is the way it sounded after the orange and white game there at Neyland Stadium as Josh Heupel made the announcement on the future of Nico.
Today's landscape of college football, it's different than what it has been. It's unfortunate, just the situation and where we're at with Nico. I want to thank him for everything that he's done since he's gotten here. That's as a recruit to who he was as a player and how he competed inside of the building. And so a great appreciation for that side of it. Obviously, we're moving forward as a program without him. I said it to the guys today. There's no one that's bigger than the Power T, and that includes me.
I think he made a lot of fans by that statement. Saw a lot of Nico jerseys, people taking duct tape and other tape over his name in regards to Nico's jersey, things of that nature.
I just wonder,
I'm being kind.
In these conversations, was there ever a counteroffer?
Hey, we're not going to go to 4, but we'll go to 3.
Yeah, we'll go to 3.
I don't think so. I think
or this is a great opportunity for us to cut bait.
They basically paid the kid to sit there and do nothing for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. So I think in their eyes, you're getting your money. So you don't want to play ball now, then pound sand. Move on.
I was about to say, we paid you $2 million to do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we paid you $2 million to not meet the expectations that we set for you. And part of why we paid you $2 million to do nothing, so that you could learn from Joe Milton and be ready in 2024. And you were not ready. And so now.
You made a college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
But had he torched Ohio State in Columbus, Ohio that night, we might be having a different conversation.
Now, what was the rumor you said that you had seen somewhere that there was talk that there was a recommendation that he not play in the college football playoff game back in December?
Yeah, so there was a report that came out over the weekend, actually from Josh Pate was the one that reported it, or at least that's where I saw it from, but that, yes, that there were multiple players on Tennessee's roster, similar to what you brought up about Alabama a couple years ago, where you had multiple guys on that roster that were pushing to renegotiate their NIL deals before the playoff game, and that one of those was Nico, and that his father had told him, you need to hold out of the playoff game unless Tennessee is going to commit X number of dollars. to you for next year?
So the number one quarterback that early out of the gate has gained a lot of interest from Tennessee fans is Avery Johnson, the quarterback at Kansas State. Now, GoPowerCat.com, I apologize, who is part of the 247 network that covers Kansas State, they are reporting that Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson says that he is committed to stay at Kansas State. Now, I don't know.
Is Chris Kleiman committed to paying him to stay at Kansas State?
So we'll see.
Get Eric Stone Street on the show.
Yeah,
exactly. Or on the phone. How much is he willing to pony up for his beloved Kansas State?
Yeah, still getting paid
is he
for
still
Modern
getting
Family?
royalties for Modern Family?
Yeah, how's that working?
I haven't seen him in very many other things since then.
Probably doesn't need to be.
No,
he's probably just living a pretty.
He's a really talented actor.
Yeah, that's an interesting one though for Tennessee because again, like I think Avery Johnson's a good quarterback, but it's just interesting.
We need an Avery Johnson back in the SEC.
The ceiling. Well, and I mean, yeah, with the hair and everything, how flowy it is, he'll be a fan favorite for sure.
Do you miss Avery Johnson?
Not that one. No.
Oh.
No. He does a great job as an analyst now.
He threw for 2,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions last year for Kansas State.
Very mobile as well. It's intriguing.
It is. Some college football news that hits close to home, and certainly we hate to report, but legendary, known to me, one of the best defensive minds that we've ever seen in football, Pat, and someone that we had a personal relationship with. But Coach Bill Brother Oliver has passed away this morning at the age of 85. Of course, a couple of different stints at Alabama. I think he was a part of Bear Bryant's first recruiting class, coached at Auburn in a couple of stints, and, of course, succeeded Terry Bowden in 1998 when Bowden was fired as the interim head coach at Auburn. But Coach Bill Brother Oliver passing away today at the age of 85.
That is some really sad news about Brother Bill Oliver. Landrum and I were just talking during a commercial break. Just some of the great times that he and I both were able to spend with one of the greatest defensive minds in college football history. Just an incredible individual. And just sitting around talking ball with him. Was
just a true Southern gentleman.
Absolutely. And just hate to have to announce that because just a first-class individual and a great football coach. So Bill Oliver passed away earlier this morning.
Well, the weather is starting to get warmer, and a great place that you can spend your time is at Big Whiskey's because they have several big screens in the bar with unique cocktails and over 120 whiskeys on tap. You can go and check out the UFL games, baseball's going on, and like I said, the weather's starting to get nice. So enjoy the outdoor patio and the game area. It's great for families, and the kids eat free on Tuesdays. So go check them out in the Stadium Church Village off Highway 150 near the Hoover Met.
Well, it was off and on rain on Friday night. The Birmingham Stallions had their home opener. It did not look good until late in the game. This is the way it sounded on Fox TV.
Ready, set. 30 seconds to go. Corral looking for the end zone. Wide open touchdown, Birmingham.
That's the way it sounded as Birmingham came from behind. It was an 11-play, 76-yard game-winning drive. Corral 63 yards passing on that specific drive, that 20-yard touchdown pass, and then the impressive point-after run that gave Birmingham the 10-9 win. You were in attendance on Friday Night Landrum, you and Dorothy. How was the festivities and the game itself?
I thought it was actually a pretty good crowd. And you had some inclement weather that was threatening. We had some rain and some storms that had come through. And then it got really chilly, but it didn't bother some of the, I don't know if it's the horsemen or just the fan club that's there and
taking their shirts
in
off.
the end zone that's taking their shirts off. But yeah, some missed opportunities I thought for Matt Corral early in the game. The first interception that led to the field goal, and that's all the Arlington Renegades got all night was field goals. That was tough, missing some open looks. But you know what? When it counted and they had to have that, he was able to lead them down the field on that drive. But the way that was set up because of the false start penalty.
That was beautiful.
And you got to love it because if there was a penalty and challenging that and going back and there should have been play should have been stopped prior to what would have been the last play offensively for Birmingham. That game, it gave them new life. They were able to convert and then go down and score. But whoo, if Arlington Renegades, you could just see the dejection on their faces.
Yeah, Bob Stoops. Big Game Bob did not look happy.
Big Game Bob did not. And I'm sure Chuck Long, as offensive coordinator, is probably wondering, what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, the Birmingham defense, they got in the red zone, 4 times, the Renegades, and they kicked 3 field goals. Mm-hmm. So that was impressive. Now, the rules or the play that Landrum was talking about, rules in the UFL allows officials to review egregious errors in the final 5 minutes of the game, which you kind of ask the question, why didn't college football or the NFL does it? Once again, the UFL is on the forefront of just a common sense rule that should be there because you're watching it and just by the naked eye, you can tell that it was a false start. And so Birmingham throws the interception, and then they buzz down and say, hold on a second. That was a false start. Should be a dead ball penalty. Back them up 5. We're going to do it again. Then Birmingham converted on 4th down, kept the drive going.
Well, you saw the offensive lineman, the Stallions offensive lineman. I'm trying to remember who it was, but his teammates congratulating him.
Yeah, thanks,
congratulating him. And he was just like, woo.
You just saved it. But you talked about Chip Long. Birmingham held Arlington to just 252 yards of offense.
Chuck Long,
sorry.
Chip might be his kid.
Yeah, 111 yards in the second half. That was it. Pretty good.
Yeah, Luis Perez, former Birmingham Iron quarterback, when we had that half season.
Yeah, when you and I went and saw him play, you got his autograph. You were pretty happy that day.
He signed a poster for me. It's on my ceiling. Good night, Luis.
Did you cover up your mirrors?
Huh?
Stallions were sloppy, though, with 10 penalties on the night. But that is now 10 consecutive wins at Protective Stadium by the Stallions. Attendance was 10,126. Last year, they averaged 10,225.
I thought there were more, but that's fine. The scanners don't always work. It was they don't.
But don't you think they would have announced more? I mean, if there was a question.
I don't know. I question some of the attendance numbers we see at various places and how that's all tabulated.
Would you debate that there
I
was...
know one thing, though. The wheel of death was happening on the little scanner thing, and I'm pretty sure that I got to go ahead, baby. Thank you. I don't know if this is legal, but thank you. Yeah. Okay, but we'll take their word for it. 10,000 and what? 2?
There's 10,126.
That's weird. It says 10,000 plus Landrum and his wife specifically.
Memphis had 4,753.
So nothing was going on in Memphis. That's a big crowd for them. Don't they usually have 600 people that show up?
According to a source in the Memphis media that I will leave nameless, he's proclaimed for a long time that there was about 600-700 people there every time they get ready to play football.
We'll talk to Coach Holtz on Wednesday, but yeah, when people are asking for Case Cookus to come into the game over Matt Corral.
Yeah, it's a problem. St. Louis had 30,000. If it was not for St. Louis, the UFL attendance would be a big story.
I know that they want attendance, but how much is this is a media deal? How many eyeballs are we getting?
No, I understand,
product,
but
right?
if you're I mean, listen.
Yeah, it looks a lot better.
I mean, we interviewed the vice president of personnel or operations, Moose.
Yeah.
And he was very frank on this show multiple times that, Birmingham attendance very disappointing. I mean, we talked about it last year. I mean, last year you had the best franchise in the whole league, and you only averaged 10,200 people. I mean, that's concerning. I mean, that's just being frank.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you look around the league, you got 4,000 in Memphis, you had 11,000 in Michigan, and you had 30,000 in St. Louis. So if it wasn't for St. Louis, total attendance was 55,000 for the whole weekend of the UFL.
So we're maybe not on that short list for NFL expansion franchise right now.
I mean, it's just
no.
You definitely put St. Louis ahead of Birmingham, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, this year you could say, well, the team does not look as sharp as it has in the past. The product is not as glowing as it was, but
2-1.
I was about to say, still have a winning record.
But the biggest hang up here in Birmingham is the fact that for many years, everyone was complaining about Legion Field. I'm not going to Legion Field. I don't want to go see the Birmingham Iron. I don't want to go see the Birmingham Barracudas. I don't want to go see insert the team that we've had here because of Legion Field. So what do? We build a state-of-the-art facility in downtown Birmingham. There's no excuse.
No, everybody talking a good game. And I know it's a walk-up town, and there were people that bought walk-up tickets, but at least one side of the stadium looked good.
How do we get all the fans from Oxford here to Birmingham for the games? They got to support their guy, right, Pat? It's about family. Hotty toddy.
Maybe Jackson Dart will be signed.
Think he's going to a different league.
And Te'amu plays for somebody else.
Canadian league?
Yeah.
He's going to play for the Argonauts? Or the Rough Riders?
Maybe we'll draft Luke Altmaier.
Are we talking about Nico? Luke Altmaier?
Yeah, we'll get Illinois and Ole Miss fans.
We'll get him and
start coming to games.
Who's the other one? Walker Howard?
Yeah.
We'll just get them all.
Well, let's hear from the head coach of the Birmingham Stallions. He'll be on this program on Wednesday, but he's pretty happy based on the fact that you're watching this game and seeing how poor your team is playing, and then you end up with a victory. Here is a happy Skip Holtz after the game.
The defense gets a great stop, offense gets the ball, and just to add a little bit of dramatic flair, we throw an interception, only to find that we jumped off sides, which maybe one of the few penalties I appreciate this entire season. We did have way too many penalties, way too many missed assignments, way too many mistakes. We did not execute very well today as an offense. Proud of the way our defense competed. We woke up just in time to see a great finish to a great game. So really proud of these players, the way they competed, what they were able to do on the field. But like I said, we have not lost in Birmingham since 2023. And I'm very appreciative to the fans, the energy that they bring and what they do for us here, and how much we enjoy coming back to Birmingham and having the opportunity to play at home.
So they're back on the road this week before they come back to play Memphis at Protective Stadium. So the Stallions, more importantly, they get that win. What does Skip tell us every week? Just go 1-0. And that's exactly what they did on Friday night. Coming up later in the program, we're going to talk a little Masters with Scott Hamilton, outstanding columnist for the Charleston Post-Courier. He was there in Augusta over the weekend as history was made with Rory McIlroy. More three-man front on this Reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 12:31, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. Your calls are welcome at 1-800-239-WJOX. We'll also read your text messages on the Courtesy GMC text line. I do have a message for homeowners. If you got a leaky roof or you're just thinking about an upgrade to that roof, you need to listen up. Did you know that Abide Roofing boasts a perfect 5-star rating on Google? That's right, a 5.0. Just don't take my word for it. Check out what your neighbors are saying about Abide Roofing. One happy homeowner raves Abide Roofing did an amazing job from start to finish. Another says they're very quick to come out and work closely with our insurance for a complete roof replacement. The work was fast, professional. It looks amazing, and it gets better. They cleaned up everything, no hassles. Plus, even after several storms, their new roof is holding up beautifully. I can speak from experience about Travis Lloyd and his local roofing team. They're an absolute pros, and they can handle anything that they throw at you. I'm talking about a new roof replacement, efficient, stress-free, outstanding customer service, excellent workmanship, top quality materials, punctual, and a flawless finish like they did my roof. That's Abide Roofing promise. Ready for a roofing experience you can trust? Call Abide Roofing today, 205-922-7134. That's 205-922-7134, or visit them online at abideroof.com.
I saw this individual on Friday night. He did not see me. Don, welcome in.
Hey guys, how are you? What a weekend! I don't think I've ever had a sports weekend like that. Oh my goodness, what a weekend!
I saw you Friday at Protective Stadium. You were a couple of sections over.
I'm sorry, buddy. I didn't see you.
No, that's fine. You were toting something in your hand. Was that your shoe?
Yes, it was. It fell off on me again going up the steps. Yes, it was.
It
Molly,
happens.
don't worry. I got good shoes. Okay, they just fall off on me sometimes because of my bad feet.
Oh, I'm not worried about you.
Wow.
Well,
wow. Whoa.
Well, no, not like that.
Well, I mean, it was nice for you to worry about me that day.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything, but no. Hey, by the way, guys, our tailgate party went great, and this is funny. And Pat, I cannot blame the media about anything. All four, we had 4 different stations come by our tailgate. I was on TV on 4 different stations, guys.
You're a famous man.
You are.
I heard you were on Fox Weather. I heard you were on Fox Weather.
Oh, he went national. Don went national. He went
that.
Fox Weather live.
That's right.
I did. And Landrum, she came to our tailgate party.
Did she really?
Interviewed all of us again.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was a very, very nice young lady.
Yes, she was.
The 3340 lady, I believe her name is Megan Sperano. That's a very pretty Italian girl, guys. Let me tell you. Everything.
She's a professional. She's a very, very good video journalist.
Yes, she is. But then the Channel 6 people, Channel 13, the only TV station that didn't do anything and come by was Channel 42. So God bless them. At least they were at the game. Everybody was at the game, and it's surely not y'all's fault. Y'all had the coach on every week, but 10,000 ain't going to work, Pat.
No, what do you think the problem is? Because, I mean, I know you guys in the fan groups, I mean, you guys are doing everything you're doing. Where do you think the problem is?
Pat, I think the rain kind of killed that crowd and everything. Because I've been to everything we've ever had, and y'all just brought it up a minute ago. Birmingham's a walk up town, and that rain right before the game started, and the wind and the cold, I think that killed the crowd. But we got 4 more chances, and I got something to talk about with y'all tomorrow at Social Taco, of course, on a Tuesday. But how about my one thing I wanted to talk about? How about my Auburn baseball team?
That was impressive. Sweeping LSU, and they set attendance records, I think, on Friday and on Saturday night, but the first sweep of LSU for Auburn in baseball since 1988.
Yeah, and I got something to pick on FSU, Dave, about. We're ranked ahead of them now.
What?
Yeah, they're number 10. We're number 7.
He won't like that.
No.
Oh, hey.
They travel to Austin, Texas this weekend, though, right? They take on Texas.
Is good.
Yeah,
Texas number 1.
Yep.
And then guess where we go? And guess where we go in 2 weeks, Conrad?
Where's
Good old
that? Is
Oxford,
it?
Mississippi. Good old Oxford, Mississippi there, hotty toddy, Pat.
All right.
Oh, Pat's going to be there for all 3 games.
Yes.
There you go.
Take him on
Yeah,
out,
the
Vegas.
first-
Pat's family has a suite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I hope everybody, all the listeners, can come join us tomorrow. Tomorrow and everything. The mayor of Social Taco is putting out an invite, so you guys please come.
All right. Just secure your shoes. Just
Yeah,
worry.
yes,
I worry
sir.
about
Yes,
your
sir.
safety. I don't want you to trip and fall.
Oh, I know, buddy. And as you guys know, I've had 5 amputations on my
I know.
feet, and sometimes when I go up the steps, that right shoe wants to come off.
Well,
Yeah, my 3 fraternity brothers that were there, they got a big, or sitting above me and Creed. They got a big kick out of that too.
Hey, was Gringo there?
Yeah, he was there.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Gary and Sissy came by the tailgate.
Awesome. Yeah, where was Landrum? Landrum, did you go to tailgate?
No, I had to wait on my wife.
Oh, that's right. She was
Yeah,
working.
yeah.
That's right.
We got there
Well,
about 10 minutes before
actually,
kickoff.
Yeah, one more thing. I did run into Damien. Damien got there and went straight to the shirtless section, of course.
Did he show up at the tailgate with a shirt on? Did he start with a shirt on?
No, he told me he couldn't come by the tailgate because he had a lot going on. But I saw him in the concourse walking straight to the shirtless section. I actually showed him a lot on TV.
Is that what they call it, the shirtless section?
Is that what they call it, Don?
Yeah, right behind the goalpost in the north end zone.
Don, what'd you think about Alabama only having 10 to 12,000 people at their practice on Saturday?
Well, I wasn't going to bring that up. Did Auburn actually really have 35,000, Pat?
I'm just the Montgomery Advertiser.
You just added 5,000 to the report.
No,
so.
I did not. No, they said, according to the Montgomery Advertiser, based on the people they talked to, there was no official attendance. That eyeballing it, they said around 30,000. That was from the Montgomery Advertiser. I was not there, so I can't.
Well, I eyeballed the Stallions crowd, and I thought it was more than the 10,200 and whatever that was reported. So maybe the UFL should hire me to eyeball attendance, and I can report those.
You know something about that? Me and Pat have had this conversation the last 3 years. I don't think they ever get the crowd right there, Pat. I really don't. I don't think they ever get it right.
Well, there was the game that I think it was last year, Molly. Wasn't it the St. Louis game that
there's a good number of people there.
We were very shocked at the number.
They started selling other
announced
sections.
14,000. At that game, they announced 14,000, and actually a memory popped up at that game, Pat, of a picture on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole side was full. And even the end zones were full that game.
That was a Sunday game, and that was a game that had a lot on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a game. I don't think you couldn't make it, but the three of us.
No, we were there. We were there in the. We sat in the end zone. Y'all were there in the media section.
That's right.
Yeah, I use it as a date day.
Landrum, I actually went with Gary and Sissy to that game.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anyway, guys, see everybody tomorrow. Looking forward to it as always.
Thanks, Don.
Thanks, Don. Appreciate it. I thought you were going to hurt his feelings, Molly, but
No, I didn't mean like that.
no,
He can hold his own.
he brushed it off.
Yeah.
It was good. You can get him some Velcro for those shoes.
Did he mean to say 5 amputations?
Yeah. 5.
Okay.
Was it? I mean, like separate, or was it
that
all?
Was, yeah, I just
Like all in one whack, or we have to do this 5 times?
I like to think that each little piggy had to come different visit.
3-man front on a Reaction Monday. Josh 94.5.
1244, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. We'll go to Charleston, South Carolina coming up at 1 o'clock. Talk a little Masters with our good friend, Scott Hamilton, columnist there at the Charleston Post-Courier.
Well, all month I've been telling you guys about our friends at Trim Tab Brewery here in downtown Birmingham, and they've had a busy April so far. So upcoming this weekend on the 18th is Trim Tab's 11th anniversary weekend. So there's going to be music all weekend long with the band Blackberry Breeze, plus Red Mountain Crawfish will be there at 2 p.m. There's going to be new beer releases and vendors all weekend as well. Don't forget, Thursday, April 24th is the NFL Draft Party. Myself and Pat will be there. Red Mountain Crawfish will be back too. Tub the Band will be there from 7 to 10. And every Sunday is Fun Day at Trim Tab with live music from 3 to 6. So go check them out downtown at Trim Tab Brewery.
So we've been having this debate in a commercial break, and we will share these on social media soon, right?
Soon.
Okay. It's funny because, like, what did Paige think about the one you generated for yourself?
She thought it was decently accurate.
Okay. I personally believe it was outstanding. Like, when you sent that to me, I was like, that's really good.
It's pretty fitting.
Molly hates hers.
I just don't think it looks like me.
I think it is the best representation of the four of us.
I think, yes, it looks the closest to the actual person.
Yeah. She's got a better smile.
So describe.
Thanks, Landry.
Are you talking about the AI version?
You don't know who I'm talking
No.
about.
Describe to the audience what you did. Or what's the trend?
Yeah, so if you remember, it was a Pat Ponders question last week, but Pat brought up the fact that they have created a LeBron James Barbie doll, right? It was a Barbie Ken doll. And so there became a trend on social media where people were going and creating, I guess, Barbie dolls or action figure replicas of, public figures, people that they knew, their friends, things like that, and they're posting them on social media. So, for example, I saw one on Friday that was of Nico, and it was him with like a suitcase and,
the accessories that come along with the doll.
Yes, and it is meant to, I guess, describe your personality is what the accessories are. And so over the weekend, I took pictures of ourselves, and I generated action figures for myself, Pat, Landrum, and Molly. And so we all have our own action figures with our own titles and our own accessories that describe our personality a little bit.
Being completely honest, Pat, you know where I thought that this came from, where this idea for Conrad, this came about when role playing with your significant other needs to be expanded, and then Conrad found something that he could provide and say, well, what about this?
Just look at the doll, baby.
Does this do it for you?
Or it could have been like a voodoo doll.
rented that costume. You didn't like it. Does this do it for you?
Wow. I never.
And he's in Texas now. So stop it, Paige. Just kidding. Oh, goodness.
Just hold the plastic version of me.
Will they make these for you?
Like real size?
I don't want mine.
Yeah, we just go to a 3D printer, and I guess that's how that works, right?
So what
I don't know how those work.
Okay, so you said you didn't like the one for yourself?
Oh no, I mean I thought it was fine. I thought mine was fine.
What about mine? What'd you think of mine?
Yours was good. Yours looks, as Landrum pointed out, a little too Brian Kelly-ish.
Oh, great.
So, and I don't mean that. I just mean in a way that it doesn't look like you as much as maybe some of the others do.
It's not Pat.
No, it's Brian Kelly.
That is Brian Kelly.
If you're looking at it from a distance, it's Brian Kelly. It's not Pat.
Let me see.
That thing did not do you
That is
justice.
not you.
I will say I think Landrum's looks the least like him.
Thank you. I don't know whatever this is. This guy looks like.
You look like you work in a cubicle, first off. I don't know.
Yeah. Or I don't even know. Maybe like a office supply place.
Yeah, You are the leading salesman at your local Staples. That is if Staples is still open. That is your action figure.
Yep. Yep. I specialize in printers.
That's right. That's right.
And ink cartridges.
Yes. Yes. But no, it is cool what the just the fact that, again, this was something that started going around on social media on Friday. And so, Pat and I are going back and forth like, I wonder how difficult it is to make it happen. Boom, Google search 5 minutes later and had it all figured out. So it's pretty cool.
A lot of interesting texts that we will get to. Love your interaction, especially on a Reaction Monday. 205-834-9450.
I'm just interested to see what people think when they get to see them for themselves.
I think when they see it for the first time, they're going to say it looks strikingly like Molly, and yours looks good.
Yep. I think yours looks pretty good.
Trim Tab will be happy about mine. Considering it reproduced the hoodie. Yeah.
They didn't have a shot of my shoes, but I would never wear those shoes. That's what it looks like. Those are tread safe, OSHA compliant
worried
shoes.
about the shoes.
And to be fair, there were a lot of the way that you go about creating them. You have to insert certain words to help it figure out like what direction you kind of want the design to go. And I will say for yours, Landrum, I did have to put the word feet in there multiple times. So that might be why.
All right. Molly is about to post them. So this is going to be interesting to see everyone's reaction to this. 205-834-9450.
They are officially posted.
Who's your favorite action figure and who's your least favorite?
So they're out there. So if you don't follow us on 3-Man Front, oh, look at that. Did you say that? Or do you retweet that?
I retweeted that, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So which one of us would you want to buy at the toy store and which one of us would you push to the back of the shelf?
There's no question everyone's going to say it looks strikingly like Molly.
Yeah. Well, and to be fair, she's the youngest.
Does that help?
I think it probably does.
I was about to ask that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it probably helps.
I like
AI, all ages.
I like how AI changes the logos just enough. Because if you notice,
well, it can't recreate.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Now,
it did better with. Okay,
I have to look at this again.
It did better with some of our logos as opposed to when I put in, like the one for Landrum, it messed up a little bit.
The thing about AI though that does help. It does help with complexion. Any blemishes or unsightly wrinkles, it will eliminate not all of them, but several of them. So for that,
I was just looking at your shoes. That's what
the shoes.
I agree
The
with
shoes. Am I not right?
Yeah.
Like, what am I? What? Like, what is my job there at Staples, where I've got to wear the steel-toed?
I just realized
great shoe from Red Wing. What?
I just realized the reason. So you have like the lanyard, whatever on, like you would have like a badge.
I'm at a damn trade show.
It's because you sent me 3 pictures of you from a trade show where you had one of those on, so it put it in your.
Well, 2 of the pictures did. I sent you 3 of the most recent pictures. I sent you one from the Final Four, one from a Stallions event, and then the other one was also from the Final Four.
It was just funny because when I put it in there, too.
You have a picture of Leonard Hamilton. Do you want to create an action figure for Coach?
When I put it in there, it comes back and it says, "Wow, it looks like you had so much fun at this sporting event. Can you tell me more details so I can generate the picture?"
Here's the thing I love the most about Molly and Landrum's is that their legs are so long that they come out of the package.
Yes, I'm tall.
Did you notice that?
Oh, did they really?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
oops.
They got to do better on that one.
All right, so they're out there. Landrum is a feet pick salesman.
Oh, wow. Coach D. Reynolds. Okay.
Yeah. Conrad is a waffle stomper. Molly is Matt Rule's #1 fan, and they've got me listed as a rebel sympathizer.
See, somebody's already tweeting in saying you look just like Brian Kelly. There it is.
Great.
There it is.
It's awesome.
Someone just said Landrum's looks like Steve Carell in the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
That's it. That's exactly who it looks like. Whoever said that nailed it.
You look like you sell stereos and VHS players.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And
yes.
I have a collection of figurines back at my 1-bedroom apartment.
Now, it
That's
really
perfect.
does.
You do look like Steve Carell. in
No,
that
that's
movie.
Steve Carell.
That's awesome.
That could be worse.
Well, the good news is he lost it, so it worked out by the end of the movie. Oh.
I do like the packaging though. That's like it's very 70s.
It's very Star Wars
80s.
figure-esque.
Yeah, but it's kind of got the Reese's Pieces theme.
Yeah, I had to find I guess like a template, essentially.
Conrad, you have just a starburst in your background. What? I'm not. Anyways.
Let's see. Someone tweeted in. They said mine looks like a sleepless Christian Bale trying to play the role of a stoner skateboarder known for skating in flip-flops.
No, you actually just look like 99% of anyone who does a podcast these days. You don't care, but you do.
That's fair.
But the flip-flops.
Well, I had to put
If
that
you
in.
had a pair of J's on, you could absolutely just start doing a podcast. But you're right. Our friends at TrimTab love you now.
Do what I can.
So Molly's not happy with hers. She wants you to redo
I know. Don't redo it. I just don't think it looks
it.
like
You
you.
just don't want it to be worse.
No,
Have you sent it to your mom? What does she think?
not yet. I like my outfit though, and my accessories.
What shoes did you have on?
It looks like just heels.
Oh, I couldn't say because your legs were like hanging out of the package.
Yeah, I'm just super tall.
It's those heels that got you in.
I'll take it.
I had a fun weekend.
Bet you did.
Paige was very concerned. She was like, "Are you bored? Like, why are you doing this?" I said, "No, it's for work. I promise."
Molly, you look like somebody I just cannot. I can't place it. Hopefully, we'll have a listener. Who are you?
It is 1 o'clock here on Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5. If you missed any of our interviews from earlier today, download the Three Man Front podcast. Trey Wallace started us off in the 10 o'clock hour talking about Nico. He was in Knoxville, Tennessee over the weekend. Pete Nakos, who broke the story about Nico leaving the University of Tennessee for more money. He was on the program at 11. Jonathan Nelson, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, he joined us as well. In just a moment, we're going to talk to Scott Hamilton, outstanding columnist for the Charleston Post-Courier. You know, Courtesy GMC in Trussville, that should be your go-to dealership where you're looking for a brand new GMC. I'm talking about a 2025 GMC Sierra, or how about a GMC Yukon or a Yukon XL, any type of package, including the Denali's. And that Yukon is just a very special SUV, the 6.2-liter V8 engine. I've been fortunate to own a couple of the Yukons in my lifetime, and they are just superb. I drive a GMC Acadia AT4 now. They're there on stock on the lot there at Courtesy GMC, the GMC Canyon, or the Terrain that my parents purchased about a year ago from Courtesy GMC. The bottom line is that they will not be beat in regards to the best deal that they're going to give you. And you don't have to drive an hour, 2 hours, or whatever the case may be. You can just drive to Trussville right off of I-459, exit 32 in Trussville for the very best in brand new GMCs. They will beat any deal out there. They want you to go to courtesybirmingham.com. They want you to take a look at the deals that they currently have and compare them to other GMC dealers, not only here in Birmingham, but across the Southeast. They will not be beat. Go by and see them off of I-459, Trussville, exit 32, or check out their inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
By the way, I meant to thank you and your Cardinals. You usually try to help the Braves, and you guys took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. Unfortunately for the Braves, we stunk it up.
Yeah, you were no hit through 5 innings yesterday.
Yeah, not good.
Chris Sale now is 0-2 with a 6.63 ERA.
Spencer Strider is going to be making his debut. It is believed there at Rogers Center on Wednesday, and you got Grant Holmes tonight going against the Jays.
Yep. Grant Holmes 4 ERA going up against Easton Lewis, who is 2-0 with no ERA. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Really good. Another person that was really good this weekend was Rory McIlroy over in Augusta, and joining us on the Higginbotham hotline from the Charleston Post-Courier. He was there in attendance watching history. He has been there a few times there in the lovely village known as Augusta, Georgia. Joining us now, Scott Hamilton, Charleston Post-Courier. Hey, Scott, what's going on, man?
I'm decompressing and getting back to the land of the living and normal folk outside the gates of Augusta National.
Well, listen, you've been over there a good bit covering this event. Just kind of take us through the week and how this one, in your opinion, will this go down as one of the greatest Masters of all time?
Well, we'll start with the first part of it. You know, you go through the week and the expectations and the storylines are, is this the year that Rory breaks through? And it's been 11 years since he won a major, any major. It's been 11 years since he really was only one major away from winning the career Grand Slam. So he's a storyline. You've got Scottie Scheffler coming back, trying to become, I think, only the third person to ever win back-to-back Masters titles, Tiger and I think Nick Faldo. And then, of course, Augusta National, the golf course, is a storyline just because of the storms that went through and all the work they put into getting that thing looking pristine. But the week evolves, and Rory just keeps chugging along, man. And what we saw yesterday, and this was my 14th Masters, what we saw yesterday I think will go down as the single greatest day in the history of that golf tournament, not just because of what Rory accomplished, but because of that, because of the momentous swings that we had. It seemed like every shot had dire consequences tethered to it, not only for Rory, but everybody in the field. It was just, you had Rory facing off against DeChambeau. You could position that as the PGA Tour versus LIV. You had Justin Rose. Justin Rose wins yesterday. He's probably a Hall of Famer. Honestly, that probably solidifies his resume as a Hall of Famer right now as a fringe candidate at best. It was just a wild day, man, and the weather was perfect, and we're going to be talking about this one for a long time.
Describe the roar from the gallery when Rory hit the shot that he did yesterday on 15?
That shot. How about that shot? That might be.
It was very Bubba Watson-like. I hate to bring up Bubba Watson, but from the other side, it was very Bubba-like.
It was. Bubba's was almost like a prayer.
Yeah.
Even though it was such a Bubba thing to do, it was almost like a prayer. This was Rory taking an analytical and strategic approach, saying, you know what, I've got this shot in my bag. He hit a similar shot the day before. But to do it under those circumstances, under those conditions, was absolutely incredible. And I was there in 05 when Tiger chipped in on 16, and that was cool, and that was great. But this was different. And let's make one thing clear, though. The roars are incredible for Rory. People love Rory. People love his story. He's a very relatable champion. But I'm just going to be kind of a buzzkill here. There's no roars like we'll ever hear with Tiger. I wasn't around for Jack, and I hear the same thing from the older generation. But I was there when Tiger Palooza was in full effect, man, and it's a wholly different breed of cat.
All right, so let's go back to number one yesterday, because there was all this talk, this buildup of Rory versus DeChambeau, and McIlroy comes out, he bogeys number one, but then he kind of, gains his traction. The next 9 holes, he's 4 under par. It just looks like that this thing is about to be a blowout because DeChambeau is falling apart. McIlroy's playing really good. Of course, everybody's kind of forgetting about Justin Rose a couple of holes in front. But from that number one position, when he double bogeyed, what was going through Scott Hamilton's mind at that time?
I'm like, here we go. And I actually was already writing in my head my column for today that of all the money that Bryson DeChambeau is going to collect for winning the Masters, he's not going to have to give any to Rory McIlroy for living in his head. He's living there rent-free after what we saw in the U.S. Open last year. That was the first thing going through my mind. And for Rory to reverse it a few holes later, that was as impressive as anything we saw.
And with Bryson DeChambeau, it seems like he's done a really good job of maybe coming back and being more fan-friendly and endearing himself to the spectators and to the fans of the sport. What is, from what you've been able to gather, what is Rory like away from golf? What do other players on the tour say about Rory?
Just likable. Just a genuine person. And I was there in 08 when Rory was, I guess he was 19 years old, maybe 18, and maybe it was 09. And it was his first Masters, and I remember just how earnest he was and how approachable he was. And he's like that to a degree now. And you talk to the other players, and nobody ever says a bad word about him. Nobody ever says a bad word about him. Now, of course, there could be things we don't know about, but those things eventually slip off into our world and we hear something, but we've never heard anything about Rory with regards to not being an approachable dude. Now, DeChambeau, you're right, man. You talk about an image makeover. I think part of that's maturity. Just he's learned how to handle being in a spotlight instead of just being the way he was, which was really grating. But I still contend, and you guys will agree with this, there's no player out there, though, that wears their emotions on their sleeves as much as Bryson DeChambeau, because when things are good, he is a freight train, but when things are bad, he wilts, and you can see it in his body language. Think about it yesterday, how strong he looked when he got into that lead out of the gate, and then how he looked a few holes later when things turned.
Scott Hamilton joins us from the Charleston Post-Courier. He was there on site covering the Masters for his newspaper. Scott, let's talk about McIlroy. 33s on his scorecard this week at the Masters. 33s. A Masters single tournament record. When I saw that, I just was like, wow, that's just unbelievable that number, that record was broken by Rory McIlroy this week.
And then when it was pointed out to him afterward, he went, "Oh, really?" He said, "Is that good?" But Pat,
he also had some 7s on there, by the way.
That's what I was going to say. He was also the first champion ever to have 4 or more double bogeys. So it's feast or famine for him. But I think that speaks volumes that he can play at that level even when he's had some hiccups with those 7s, that he can rebound. Rory of old would have never rebounded. he would have fallen apart. It would have been 2011 again. It would have been Pinehurst in 2024 again. But he was able to get himself together and move forward. And now I just want to see what he does now that he doesn't have this albatross on him, that he's got the Masters jacket, that he's got the career Grand Slam. I think he might win another major this year. I think he might win 2 more majors. The Open Championship is in Ireland. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You are correct.
I can see the PGA Championship is at Quail Hollow. I know he's won there as part of the Wells Fargo Championship. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. And given his distance and the way he hits a golf ball, the U.S. Open at Oakmont, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to win the Grand Slam. I'm not saying he's going to win the next 3, but I will put money right now that he wins one of those next 3, that he wins another major before the end of this season.
Scott, in your opinion, from a viewership, from a ratings perspective, how much did Rory McIlroy help the overall game of golf yesterday with what happened?
I think it's tremendous. I don't think we can really quantify its value for some time. We will get the numbers and we'll look at it, but I think what they're going to see is an incredible storyline that even non-golf fans are watching, and it happened on the perfect day. Because even if you don't watch golf, even if you don't play golf, you turn the Masters on. It's something that happens. But to have it be exciting like this with a marketable hero and all the things that were happening away from him with DeChambeau, with Justin Rose, Patrick Reed, all the other guys, I think this could be a moment that golf could really seize and maybe elevate its position right now and maybe make up some ground that it might have lost when Tiger backed off.
Scott, in regards to the relationship between LIV and obviously the PGA Tour, 7 of the 12 LIV golfers made the cut. What are you hearing on the future? Are these 2 ever going to come together? Is that merge going to happen? I know President Trump has been very outspoken on trying to make that happen. What did you hear this week in Augusta?
Nobody has a clue. Nobody has a clue, man. They promised 2 years ago that they were going to form a partnership of some sort, but now it's just looking like they're at a stalemate. And part of it is because the people that LIV want to have a stronger say. And when I say the people that LIV, specifically the people that run the public investment firm of Saudi Arabia, they want to have a prominent seat on the board of whatever entity they would create by partnering or by merging. And the PGA Tour is stopping short of that. And they're saying, no, you are not going to be basically co-chair or co-commissioner of this thing. It's not happening. We'll talk merger and we'll talk partnership, but we're not going to give you that much power. And until one side relents, I think that's where we're going to be. We're going to stay the way we are.
Scott, a question something that happened on Thursday, and then we talked about it at length on Friday to begin our show, but Jose Luis Ballester, I want to get your thoughts on the whole thing, but also any more word from Augusta National or folks that you talked to about repercussions that could be following?
I knew you were going there. We haven't heard anything. I don't think he'll get invited back. Yeah. I think that could be the repercussions because, if you do something against the club, sir, you do not get invited back. That is the worst punishment in their eyes. I just don't think he'll be invited back. But I'm wondering, isn't that indecent exposure?
Yeah, I mean, technically, by the letter of the law, I think, yeah.
I'm not going to bring up anything I might or might not have ever done on a golf course.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But
I did it yesterday.
It's the Masters.
Yes.
You had 100,000 people out there, and there's a bathroom within sight. He had time, and he said he forgot. Well, okay, maybe your caddy should have stepped in, or I don't know, pad you on the whatever, throw a rock at you. Hey, man, there's a bathroom right over there, dude. Everybody be cool. Just go do that. The ghost of Clifford Roberts right now is going to come haunt that dude for the rest of his life. My goodness. What did you all think when you heard about it?
It was shocking. I mean, he would have been better off like we do when we're in the go to the beach and just kind of wade out in the water. Yeah. I mean, you should have just waded into Ray's Creek and take care of business.
When I first heard it, I didn't know the other details. I didn't know that he knew that people were watching him. And I had no idea how close the bathroom was in proximity to where he was. I was just assuming, you know what? Bladder got him. He had to go. He found a safe, secure place to go. But no, that was not the case. And then him laughing and kind of doubling down on it. I thought, ooh, this is not going to go over well.
What wasn't he in Scotty Scheffler's group?
I think he was.
I think he was.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Because they put an amateur with the champion, and I'm wondering what Scotty Scheffler, and I'll see him this week. I'm going to the RBC Heritage at Harbortown on Hilton Head Island. I'm going to ask Scotty, dude, when he answered Nature's call, were you aware? And did you shake his hand afterward? I mean, he didn't wash his hands. I didn't see him wash. Did you see him wash his hands? I didn't see him wash his hands.
No. And Scotty's probably got to be thinking like, where are the Louisville Police Department when you need them?
That's good.
Oh God, that's a winner right there.
That's good. Well, Scott, I know you had an enjoyable week there in Augusta. You're 14th covering the event. It's a very special time in golf, and now you're heading to Hilton Head to cover the next of the PGA Tour. We always appreciate your time. And before we let you go, I want to tell you, man, did an outstanding job with your sit down with Greg Sankey at the SEC basketball tournament. That was outstanding, Reed. Good job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I love three-man front, WJOX, and really just grateful, man, that you guys have had me on.
All right, man. Scott, take care. Talk to you soon, brother.
Bye, guys.
Thanks. That's Scott Hamilton joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR needs.
And lots of reaction on the text line, as well as 5 questions from Pat. We continue Reaction Monday, three-man front and Jocks, 94.5.
That was a great weekend of golf. I know a lot of listeners get an opportunity to try to be a duffer over the weekend, try to go hang out, play a little golf when they can. But, man, it's just something about the Masters. Just watching that and the start of spring, it's just a very special event every single year as Rory McIlroy wins the green jacket. He now completes the Grand Slam in his career, so that is a very special moment. Bryson DeChambeau, he was his partner yesterday, and after the round, Bryson DeChambeau had something very interesting to say about his playing partner.
Did you speak to him in there? How's he doing? Do you know?
No idea. Didn't talk to me once all day.
Did you try and initiate conversation with Rory at all?
He wouldn't talk to me.
It's focused.
Is that normal?
I don't know in Rory's case, but I don't think that that's normal. No, you generally have a little bit of
some pleasantry.
Something.
Yeah.
So earlier this week, I believe this was audio captured on the practice tees at the very beginning of the week because both Bryson was mic'd up. This is to the crowd. They're hooked up to a PA system. So Bryson is hooked up. You have Rory hooked up, and then you have a mediator. I don't know who it was. Somebody that was standing there by the chipping area or whatever the case may be. And just take a listen to this back and forth.
I'd like to go up against Bryson to try to get him back for what he did to me at the U.S. Open. To be fair, you kind of did it to yourself.
So if you couldn't make out what was said, he said he basically wants to try to make up for what Bryson did to him at the U.S. Open because McIlroy had fallen apart.
Yes.
And Bryson wins the championship. And then you heard Bryson, which was a great comeback.
Oh, yeah. You choked that one away.
Buddy. Yeah, you kind of had something to do with that. That was you that did that. So it's been 10 years, 8 months, and 3 days between Rory McIlroy's major wins. That's the 6th longest gap between major all-time wins. It's been a minute. 10 years, 8 months, 3 days. It's not the longest, but definitely a long period of time. McIlroy earned $4.2 million for the win. That's a $600,000 increase over the $3.6 million Scotty Scheffler won last year.
Big bump.
No wonder Scheffler looked a little ticked off when he's putting the jacket on him. My gosh, inflation.
He still won like $1 million though.
Yes. The total prize money was up at the Masters to $21 million. That's a 5% increase from last year. Justin Rose earned $2.27 million. Patrick Reed finished third. He made $1.43 million, and Scheffler made $1 million for his 4th place finish.
It's just wild on some stuff, like with Patrick Reed, because he bounced that shot in on the 17th hole or something like that, and it's one of those. Okay, it's cool. You came in 3rd place, and you go back and you're like, man, that one bounce on that shot. I mean, that was a $700,000 bounce right there of a golf ball in your favor.
Here's another, just a stat that's just crazy. So McIlroy has now earned $104.2 million in his official career prize money, second only behind Woods, who made $121 million. But he's made a PGA record $160 million, including $56 million in FedEx Cup bonus payouts. So if you add the FedEx bonus payouts, which was not available when Tiger was playing, he has now made more money than Tiger Woods in his winnings as a PGA golfer. Last year, McIlroy earned an estimated $79.8 million, including $45 million from course sponsors. He ranks 17th amongst the world's highest paid athletes. Rory McIlroy. I bet you a lot of people didn't realize that.
No,
I remember this was a year or two ago. I went and looked up. I was just curious to see how golfers kind of stacked up, and you go and look at his net worth, and I mean, you're getting very close to the $500 million mark, or some estimations of his net worth. It's absolutely astonishing.
Well, speaking of cash, how about our friends at Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. Millions of members. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. You can run your game all season long on Prize Picks, and you can cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, you can take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash today. Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching sports. You can join millions of users like me and sign up today. It's really simple. You just download the Prize Picks app. You're going to enter promo code WJOX, and when you do so, they are going to reward you for doing that. Download the Prize Picks app, and you're going to put in promo code WJOX, and they're going to kick back some money to your account to get you started. Tonight, I'm going Major League Baseball. We do have the Braves taking on the Blue Jays. Ooh, hits allowed by pitchers. We've got Grant Holmes, more or less than 5.5 hits. I'm going to go more. I think the Blue Jays get more than 5.5 hits off of the Braves right-hander. And then Easton Lucas for the Blue Jays. He's been really good, as solid as Pat has mentioned earlier. 3.5, more or less, on hits allowed for Easton Lucas. I'm actually going to go more on that one as well. If I hit on both of those, I'm a winner. You can be a winner too. Download the Prize Picks app today and enjoy sports all season long.
So I saw this interesting viral post over the weekend. It was listing all the golfers, not all of them, but just some of the more famous golfers that's on the tour, and they try to compare them to a college football program. Did you see this, Conrad?
I did not. So we're comparing PGA golfers with college football programs?
For example, Tiger Woods. Like, what college football program?
Alabama. Come on.
Stanford.
It was Alabama. That's what they listed. Bryson DeChambeau.
Bryson DeChambeau.
Ooh, see, I would go like
USC.
I was thinking like USC or Oklahoma, like high-powered offense.
In this post, it was Oregon.
Ooh, Oregon. Okay, that's a good one.
Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler, Notre Dame.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Georgia.
They listed Georgia. Rory McIlroy.
Ohio State.
Texas.
Notre Dame.
Texas. Justin Thomas.
Well, got to step your game up, JT, if you want to be that one. I don't know. It'd be really funny if it was Auburn.
Auburn was not listed in any of these.
Oh, they weren't?
No.
Justin Thomas would be, I will go Michigan.
I was going to say Michigan.
Florida State. Jordan Spieth.
And you said Auburn wasn't any of them?
Nope.
Tennessee.
Clemson.
Okay.
Phil Mickelson.
Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska.
Nebraska.
Oklahoma.
That would have been perfect.
John Daly.
Oh, Arizona State. I don't.
John Daly?
That's a good one. Arizona State.
Colorado.
Arizona State.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And the final one they had listed, Brooks Koepka. SEC school. It's an SEC school.
Florida.
LSU.
Yeah.
He gives me that. It's like you have to respect it, but like deep down, you're like, you're probably kind of a D-bag. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. More three-man front on this Reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. Well, Las Vegas has spoken on where Nico's going to end up next. According to Las Vegas right now, if you'd like to place a wager on where his next team is going to be, 2-1 odds that he will be a UCLA Bruin. That is number one on the board right now. At number 2 with a plus 250 is North Carolina. Coming in at 3-1 is USC. 5-1 is Texas Tech. Colorado is 6-1. Arizona State 7-1. Notre Dame 9-1. Maryland 11-1. Oregon 12-1. California 16-1, and the only other team on the board is Syracuse at 20-1. So those are the odds as we currently stand of where Nico could potentially end up.
Well, over the weekend, Wallace State baseball and softball both went 3-1 during their 4-game stretches against Snead. The Lady Lions softball secured the first place spot in ACCC play with a 16-4 conference record. Softball stepping out of conference play to host Itawamba for a doubleheader tomorrow up there in Hansville. For more information, go visit them online at athletics.wallacestate.edu.
It's pretty interesting because when you look at the Nico situation and you think about him coming out of high school and you start looking at the list, he was the number 2 overall player on the list, right?
Oh, yeah, that's an ugly list you're about to look at.
Yeah, so at number 3, well, excuse me, let me go back up. The number 2 quarterback in that recruiting class was Dante Moore, who's now at Oregon. He started off at UCLA.
Correct.
Now he's at Oregon. Coming in at number 3 quarterback was Jackson Arnold. Obviously Oklahoma, now Auburn. Malachi Nelson was the next quarterback on that list. He was at SC, then at Boise, and now he's in the transfer portal. So we'll see where he ends up. Next up, Jaden Rashada.
Oh.
Miami, Florida, Arizona State, Georgia, now in the portal. And then rounding it out, Aiden Childs, he was at Oregon State, and then he transferred with his head coach, Jonathan Smith, who left Oregon State. He is now he's the starting quarterback for Michigan State. So the only quarterback, top quarterback in that class that has not transferred is Arch Manning.
And he's also the only one that looks like he's going to live up to the expectations that were set upon him coming out of high school.
Yep. So all of those quarterbacks, well, Jackson Arnold, Malachi Nelson was a 5-star, but Jaden Rashada was a 4-star, and Aiden Childs was a 4-star. Everybody else was 5 stars.
But just remember how critical we were, and a lot of us were about Arch. Oh, well, if he didn't have this last name, there's no way he'd be the number 1 quarterback. He wouldn't be a 5-star. And maybe those things were true, but hindsight's always 20/20. It's just funny that here we are just a couple years later, and he now looks leagues ahead of all of those other guys in terms of what their future looks like, and at least in the near future.
Let's do some Pat Ponders on this Monday, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. All right, question number 1. Light crowds at Alabama and Auburn this weekend for the conclusion of spring practice with A-Days. Do you guys believe this is going to be the norm moving forward?
Yes. Unless you incorporate some other fan stuff, and I don't know what they had at each, but make it like a big concert, a weekend-long festival. I just don't think that people, if you continue in this format, are just going to show up in droves to go and watch that. I mean, I think the interest had waned when it was still a football game.
Yeah, and I think, because Pat, you brought up the number for Alabama last year and, whatever it was, around 70,000. And I think we all know that was because it was DeBoer's first. Everyone was interested in what it was going to look like after Nick Saban. And I think that's why you had that amount of interest. And so, while it's shocking to see the numbers this year, yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, why are you even having an event at all, to be completely honest? I know for some fans, it's still a great opportunity, but it really felt like, at least from my impression of things, if you were a Yay Alabama member and you wanted a autograph, you were there. And then on the Auburn side of things, I know they made all of that stuff free. And so it seemed like that part of it was still exciting for the fans. But I mean, you said it best earlier today, Pat. I mean, what we saw on Saturday, that's no different than what you get on any Wednesday in spring practice where we don't talk about it because it's just practice.
No, I think it'll continue to decline. I know, like, personally, of the people that I've talked to, no one I know is going to the new Nebraska spring game. I mean, tickets are only $10, and they're kind of doing a Husker game, sort of what Ole Miss did. Again, I don't know anyone going. I think it's mainly probably going to be families from now on to kind of get their kids there. But at least, I guess, people my age,
Question number 2. Rory McIlroy becomes the 6th golfer all-time to win every major. Some announcers this week proclaimed him the new face of golf post-Tiger Woods. Do you agree that now he is the face of golf, Rory McIlroy?
No. While he's more charismatic, I don't know if he's more marketable than Scotty Scheffler. I would still consider Scotty Scheffler, at least on this side of the pond, the face of golf.
I would still have Scheffler up there as number one. I know he's technically still ranked number one, I think, but as the face of golf.
I mean, I still think it's Tiger Woods. I still think he's the face of golf. And I mean, you talk about this.
Active, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yes. In terms of people that are actively playing right now on a regular basis, no, because of his injuries. But in terms of, it's the same argument that people make in the NBA all the time is, has so-and-so finally replaced LeBron as the face of the NBA? No, because you're still having that conversation, right? As long as you're bringing those people up as, well, have they replaced this person and they're still around the game? No. I think Roy's a great story, and he's been around for a long time. And I think he's certainly one of the more recognizable names, but no, I still think Tiger's the face of golf, and he will be for the foreseeable future, in my opinion.
All right, when he was getting his green jacket, Rory McIlroy mentioned how special it was to play the Masters with the patrons so engaged in the gallery. He referenced no cell phones. That was the key. Do you believe there's another sport that could adopt the same no cell phone policy at their games or tournaments and be successful?
Maybe tennis?
See, I was going to say like the Wimbledon or like the Australian Open.
And I think the reality is for a lot of it, it's just going to be a hard sell to American society, in my opinion, to say, hey, you want to go watch this baseball game or you want to go watch this NFL game, but you're going to do it without your phone. Like you're going to have to put your phone in a bucket and then we're going to give it to you when you walk out of the stadium. I just don't think that's something that the average fan is looking for. And I think if you're going to Augusta, right, like you know what the tradition is, you expect that kind of stuff. And so maybe you're willing to, you're looking forward to it because it's a premium luxury experience. But yeah, I guess tennis would be the closest I think you'd get.
There's like a certain prestige level of the Masters that everybody kind of respects. And I feel like at an event like the Super Bowl or like a Game 7, not that they're not prestigious, but it's a different type of environment.
Well, first of all, if you implemented that policy at a Game 7, at a Super Bowl, at a national championship game, you put it out there and people might balk and say, well, I'm not going.
Right.
But ultimately people would go and they would sacrifice their phone for going and watching an event for 2-3 hours. Maybe it's a day. You could definitely do it at Wimbledon and people wouldn't flinch. I mean, somebody would, but for the most part, people are like, it's Wimbledon. I'm going to go and watch it. Churchill Downs, Kentucky Derby. Well, wouldn't make much sense from a betting perspective, but you do have the window there. You could do it. Yeah. You could do it for an Iron Bowl.
See, and I'm not opposed to it. Like, I love that idea of going. It's the same thing with going to a concert. Like, that's what drives me crazy is you go to a concert now and everyone's just watching the concert through their phone. They're not even watching the actual performance. And so I would be all on board with it. I just think, we're also attached to that stuff.
By the way,
now.
there's
It's a
some
hard
venues,
sell.
if you get enough people there, you can't get a signal out anyways, or you can't.
That is an excellent point.
I experienced it in the Alamo Dome at one point, just trying to text somebody else who was there in the dome and couldn't get it to send.
But even just with the videos, and I understand, like, you want the memories of it, but at least in my experience, I never go back and watch those, right? I would much rather have just been in the moment, enjoying it for what it is without a cell phone than
What I thought was really cool
recording
is to think about the most important people over the course of the last 5 holes were the scoreboard operators at Augusta.
Yeah.
Because everyone in the gallery has no clue. Like, they're hearing the roars going on across different fairways, but they were literally glued like old school back in the old days of the 30s and 40s of you trying to listen to an old radio broadcast. You didn't have instantaneous. That's the only way you got the information. But everybody was affixed to those changes that was going on when Rose had birdied and then McIlroy had double bogeyed, and all of a sudden we got a tie, and it was just.
Well, I think they even made a point of when Justin Rose was still trying to keep warm. They're like, does he even know that Rory's about to hit a putt? Because we all thought he was going to hit that putt on 18. It's like, does he even know what's going on right now? And
That's the equivalent of, seriously, of me watching the Game Day app, Major League Baseball, when I can't listen to the Braves game on Jock 94.5. I can't pull up my FanDuel app to watch the game, and I'm somewhere and I just want to check real quick, and maybe it's a pivotal time in the game, and going to that Game Day app, and you've got the simulation of the pitcher, and then you get ball in play.
Oh, yeah, and you're like, what's going to happen?
And it's like out before it happens. But yeah, you're right. When's the last time that so many people were glued to a scoreboard operator?
It was just amazing to think no one in the. Now I do have this question. Are you allowed to wear your Apple Watch?
Because you can text.
I guess as long as.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe no smartwatches, only Rolexes.
Will they allow you to carry a pigeon?
Oh, so you could send notes?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Or a raven.
Because
whatever floats your boat.
Because I don't know if you have it on
Game of Thrones
yours,
people.
but my watch is also a phone. Like, I mean,
Yeah. You know, I just realized on mine it's still in airplane mode. Got back 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yes. Hey, it still keeps the time.
So according to Golf Monthly, you can, but you can't use it to call or text or.
Oh, you have to put it on airplane mode, so Landrum would have been fine.
Hey, no worries.
Landrum's prepared for Augusta.
If you need anything besides the time, I can't help you. Where's the where's the icon for the airplane?
But see, how are they going to? I mean, how are they going to be able to know if I'm sitting here and I'm looking at a text as opposed to looking at the weather forecast?
No, you're right.
That's on my watch.
You're right.
So, I just find it that yesterday afternoon was high drama because of thinking about everyone in the gallery, like not having any idea what was going on the holes behind. Like, if you're sitting on 18, you have no idea. You hear the whole crowd going crazy. Are they going crazy over DeChambeau? Who just put it in the water? Was it Bryson? Was it Rory? What's going on? And then all of a sudden you're looking up, just waiting for them to update that.
We'll say they're being there on those grounds during tournament play and hearing the roars from different holes. And it's a wow, that give you chills, and not knowing who it was is really, really neat.
That's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
Well, being one of the wealthiest people in the world doesn't exclude you from everyday human mistakes. Worst thing I've seen is next. 151, three-man front here on this Reaction Monday. We'll get to the worst thing that I've seen in just a moment. A lot of your texts coming in, 205-834-9450. We always appreciate them, and a lot of different things from the Masters this weekend to what took place Tuscaloosa and in Auburn, what didn't take place. We always appreciate the interaction. Going back to the action figure dolls, this one coming out of the state of Tennessee. Does Conrad's doll have a waffle as an accessory? That is a great idea. If they had accessories. Molly's has a piece of corn. Molly's looks more like Kelly Ripa than Molly. What do y'all think? After review, I would say maybe that's where the smile kind of came in.
Yeah.
Steven says Conrad looks like he should be a character in American Pie. Yep.
Okay.
Which one would he be?
I was about
Not
to say.
Stifler.
I was about to say.
Not Stifler. He'd be, what's his name? Who's the guy that drinks the cappuccino?
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Thank you.
Drake said, had a good time at Florida Spring Games, 60,000 in attendance.
They were there to see the basketball team.
Riding high off that natty.
Brandon says, as far as a cell phone and taking, can't bet without a phone, so no. Brian Denny already has a no phone rule with that god awful service.
I was waiting for that joke. They've improved it though, from what I understand.
Mike says, I've been fortunate enough to attend the Masters a handful of times, and the best time I had was with my wife because she was cell phone free. Amen. Yes to smartwatches, I'd assume, on whether they'd allow them there on the grounds. I had people I follow on something, logging walks across Augusta National while they were there.
Oh,
Is
with
it
like
Strava?
the fitness.
Strava?
Yeah,
Strava?
yep. Paige uses that one.
Burr says, I'm a fan and I attend games when I'm not working, but if it would help the UFL, could find a way to keep the players in town so they can interact with the fans. I think there's something to that.
That would be beneficial.
Yep. Two things. If it paid Nico in high school, also they renegotiated his contract. He was earning $2.4 million. Going back to Nico fallout. Birmingham always led attendance. Why or where are we failing to draw a good crowd? I think part of maybe what one of our other listeners said, Burr. My guess was, and I sent Pat some pictures prior to the game, and the crowd was still rolling in as the first quarter was going on, but I thought it was 12 to, maybe 12 to 15,000. 15 would have been maybe on the high side. All right. We appreciate all the texts, as always, 205-834-9450. From that, we go to something that just happened not too long ago. This is the worst thing that I've seen. So Amazon and Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos and his significant other, last name is Sanchez, correct?
Yes.
She went up as a part of the launch into space, and she was a part of that with, I guess, Katy Perry and others.
Correct.
Well, they went up for 11 minutes. I'm sure thrilling minutes, stuff that they will never forget, and then came back down to the Earth in their capsule. Jeff Bezos went to greet his fiance, Lauren Sanchez, and the all-female crew when they returned early this morning. The live stream of the historic launch caught the moment that Jeff Bezos, at the tender age of 61, fell face first to the ground as he went around the windows of the capsule carrying his fiance. We will tweet out that video so you can look at it. If
it's just because it's like a little hole or something that I guess the capsule created when it came back down to Earth, and it's just, yeah.
Everything doesn't go right, even if you have hundreds of billions of dollars.
No, it doesn't.
You're still susceptible to that kind of stuff. I appreciate you joining us today. All of it available there at the podcast at the number 3 Man Front, JocksFM.com. Thanks to our listeners in Montgomery, also up in Huntsville, and wherever you're watching on YouTube. Coming up tomorrow, live from Social Taco in Homewood. Hopefully you'll join us. Mike Griffith will be on the show, and we'll continue to talk transfer portal, what would look like for Auburn, for Alabama, other teams in the SEC, and Nico watch as well. Paul Feinbaum is next.